Players at the ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? On my release.
Tonight, I'll be eating roasted cauliflower tacos with spicy chipotle sauce. Thank you. Oh! I wasn't ready!
You want cheese to go with that wine?
Good afternoon, air hockey fans, and a special happy birthday to Brooke. We are coming at you live from the bus arena. We've got Peter Kai versus Matt Bentley. This is one of our age-old, a tale of all times for this game. Very, very excited about this one, and it's about to start off right now. My name is Nathan Buss, and I am accompanied today by guest speaker Mizuki. How are you, Mizuki?
I'm doing all right, Nathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's pouring down rain all of a sudden, like out of nowhere.
Certainly what it feels like. So, about Peter Kai, tell us a little bit more about the matchup information between these two. What did their match look like?
I'm pretty excited because he's showing off his new mallet that he made out of Teflon. We're doing a brand new our R&D department is trying out new materials, so he's gonna be trying that one out today. Peter Kai had started about a year after Matt Bentley did, but he practiced and practiced and practiced. Went to the arcade almost every single day. Walked around with a sign that said, beat me to win $100. And he had to even pay out a few times, and so it taught him to never lose, right? And he worked his way up the ladder. Right now he's number 3 in Idaho, and that's including George Anderson on that list. George Anderson is the one that's right past Spec right now. We call him Spec. And so you can see on his uniform it says Spec on the front. So he's gotten to be number 3 in Idaho. Matt was very recently number 4, but he lost recently to Scott, and so it bumped him down quite a few spots. So this is Matt Bentley trying to take Spec's number 3 in Idaho. So that's a bit about the match. Matt's been playing for a year extra. He has a ton of experience. He's been trained by some of the best players in the world. And we'll see. It's basically a clash of lots and lots of experience from Spec versus lots and lots of trained experience on Matt's side of things. So this is going to be a best 2 out of 3 sets.
Now, if I recall correctly, Spec is actually has a bit of a high stakes this match, because if Matt takes this round, he'll actually be taking the number 3 spot in Idaho, but not only that, he'll be taking the 77 world rank.
That is correct. There is the world rank at stake here. I believe Matt is, I want to say he's 88th in the world right now, and Spec is, would you say 77th?
Correct.
And so, it's funny because here, when the numbers are that high up there, we really stop looking at the world rank as much as we do looking for the Idaho rank. And so this is for the Idaho rank or the USAA rank for number 3 in the area. And so it's kind of fun because we know whoever wins this is going to have a target on their back following this game here.
Now,
you know what? I got to go start their game. I just realized. I'll be right back. Carry on.
Then I'll be taking over from here. Now, if you all are interested, you can find us at Facebook, American Air Hockey League, or you can find us on Instagram at Idaho Air Hockey if you are interested in more information about the Air Hockey League, or if you're looking to take part. You can always schedule with Nathan. But for the time being, looks like we're about to get started here. Bumping mallets just to get started. And we're off. Ooh, an immediate score. A left wall under, which is, believe it or not, our shot of the week. Now, control goes back to Spec here, taking a much more methodical approach, as Spec is known to do. Now, Spec is a bit of an interesting character, because everybody that I've ever seen Spec go up against has to change their approach entirely when it comes to this tricky customer. Now, of course, he's going to be playing a little bit differently here himself due to testing out a new mallet with a new material, and this mallet is a little bit more interesting. Why don't we go a little bit more into the details of what he's using today?
So this is a complete Teflon mallet. It's 100% made out of Teflon. He did put a little bit of wrap on there to brace his knuckles, and this mallet is It's very heavy. So the regulation size generally is at 6 ounces. And when he made the mallet to the exact same specifications of a normal shaped mallet, it ended up weighing 9 ounces. And so he chopped the top of it off. Ooh, beautiful left wall over from Matt. You can see that shot there, fantastically done.
Now, Spec is ordinarily a quite defensive and tricky player, which this mallet is going to benefit him today because this mallet is quite good at absorbing impacts.
Correct.
Good for catching mallets and good for catching different kinds of shots. Now, because of this, Matt's going to have to take a little bit of a different approach, where most of his power shots are actually going to be accepted very easily by this sort of mallets. Is that correct?
Right, so I was testing it out yesterday and it absorbed everything. I mean, it was much heavier, so it was harder to deceive somebody with my shots because I had to do a little bit more of a wind-up before a shot. But Matt's known for his super hard shots straight down the center. And they normally push someone's mallet out of the way, but this thing just absorbs all of it. Ooh, beautiful
a very clean
shot.
straight from Peter.
Fantastic. You see how he pulls it back, he brings it up to the middle and goes right for that cut shot there. Another point is in, so now it's 2-2.
Now, this obviously isn't the first time that these two have gone head-to-head. What did their last match look like?
You know, I think Spec has won almost every single match with the Matt versus Spec lineup. One of them got really close, I think, in Worlds, or not in Worlds, I'm sorry, in the Idaho State Championship earlier this year. Spec was able to beat Matt. And so it's always been a close matchup between the two of them.
Ooh, a very clean bank shot off of the right wall from Matt.
Beautiful shot. Spec sets it up. It's now 2-3. Matt is in the lead. He is the underdog in this round, but it's going to be so close. It's going to be a little bit too close to call it.
Now, if you were a betting man, Spec has won more matches than he has lost in this, of course, but Matt seems
right
very...
wall under by Spec, blazing speed. You're asking if I had to make a bet? I would say...
Matt looks awfully determined today.
You know, if I had to be the safe bet, Spec, because he's won so many in a row. However, Matt's been preparing for this. He's been watching footage. Spec is busy working on the stream, right? Helping out with all of the setup. So I think that Matt has an advantage because he's been watching a lot of Spec's play. I think that Spec is also very confident. Matt's very nervous. And I think that usually the nervous player has a harder time winning because they're nervous, right? But sometimes someone can be overconfident.
Maintaining control on Matt's side.
He sets it up,
Not
tied
only-
3-3.
Not only that, but Matt actually does have to adjust to an entirely different different mallet as well.
Yeah, I actually expected Spec to play with his other one. He has this mallet made out of Delrin, which is a very, very hard plastic, meaning that he's great offensively but terrible defensively. But he switched for this white one, which is all wow, what did I say this mallet was? Teflon. Ooh, it dribbles off of his mallet and falls in. And so this one is very good defensively, not as good offensively, which is probably the mallet that I would use against Matt. Because Matt does those screaming fast shots just like that one. Left wall over, tying up the game 4-4. Spec sets it up, goes for an off goal, gets it back, maintains possession, sets it up, goes for the left wall. Ooh, goes for a soft shot and immediately loses possession. This could be Matt's chance to get the advantage on this game.
Now, talking about advantages, Spec is known for these very low movement, high impact shots, which the mallet that he's using today actually seems to nullify a little bit. His shots are looking a little bit slower than usual, which is completely different. Oh!
Right wall under, amazing shot. We got a bunch of people in the chat, by the way. We got Brooke in the chat. Is it Brooke's birthday today? I think, was it Brooke or was it Bridget's birthday? I always get the two mixed up because I'm a terrible person. But we got a birthday in here. That's Matt's family that has a birthday today. We got Sam in the chat. We got Scott in the chat. Thanks, guys, for chipping in. We'd love to hear your thoughts and if you guys have any questions. Matt is up now 1 point. Remember, this is the best 2 out of 3 sets. And I think that tonight might actually be a long one because these guys are so close, but we'll see. Last time they played, Spec had a pretty demanding lead. This time around, I think it's going to be a lot closer with Matt possibly having the advantage, especially with Spec trying a brand new mallet out.
And once again, a very happy birthday to Brooke in the chat. Thank you for tuning in on this very special day of yours. Possession going, ooh, back in control of Spec.
This is going to be Matt's birthday gift, is to win this game here. This is the very first game. Matt's up 1 point still. Goes for the cross and nails it.
Now, from what I've seen of these two, of course, this Spec is quite good at taking games back from when he's behind.
He really does. So when he's at the arcade and he has $100 on the line, he often just plays nonchalantly, but if he starts losing, then he starts using the cross shot, which is what we call the noob killer. It's when you bring it up to the left-hand side of the table and you shoot to the right-hand side of their goal. Matt calls a 10-second timeout. I think it's a good spot for a timeout. He's ahead. One thing that we've noticed about Matt is that when he is winning, he usually loosens up and then starts to lose.
So it's a good thing that he's taking the time to recover himself here then.
Right. Spec switches back to the Delrin mallet, so that's more for offense and not for defense. We'll see how this is. You could just instantly hear a difference.
And not only here, but you can see the difference. Just look at the puck sailing across the table.
Yeah.
In comparison to the low impact shots of the Teflon mallet. Spec, recognizing that he was losing at defense today, decides he wants to try and take very quick rounds off of Matt. Ooh, it doesn't look like he's gonna be able to take
Beautiful shot. We got the final shot. Let's see. You know what? I might have missed that. My bad. This is a beautiful cross though from Matt, where he brings it up and he gets it to the other side of the goal there. I will be right back to start their next round. You can see, hopefully at the, this is. Let's see. This is me pushing buttons here like crazy. We got Matt winning his very first game. He has 3 more to go to win this set. Guys are getting ready right now. We're about to dive into the next game here. You can see the Delrin mallet just sitting there waiting to demolish Matt in this next one. We'll see what happens. We see some chats out there for Matt saying, keep it together.
Now, of course, Matt's got a lot on the line here. Nathan's going to take off and go ahead and start these two's next game. How's everybody in the chat doing today? Both players ready, getting ready to take possession of the puck immediately. It looks like puck goes to control goes to Spec, setting up very methodically, going back to the Teflon mallet, realizing that his other mallet was not taking the game the way that he wished it could.
But he's back to using it, so I think he's just given another chance. I mean, it's the ultimate way to test something out, right? You might try it a few times and see if you like it, but the ultimate way to test it if you like it is to try it in a high stakes game just like this. If he loses his world rank, he loses his state rank, and Matt will gloat about it until the next match they have.
Ooh.
Oh,
Off the left wall from Matt.
that's such a bummer. That's called a forced error, where it bounced off the back of his mallet. That mallet is made just for that too, so I'm surprised it actually bounced in. If it was that black mallet that he has, it would make more sense why it bounced right off. He goes for the cross, but shoots it straight down the middle, loses possession. Matt up 1 point now. And has possession, goes for a fake, goes for that cross, also shoots it directly down the middle. You never want to shoot it down the middle because that's the spot that's most commonly blocked.
Not only that, but with this mallet in particular, it's so easy to just stop the motion of the puck. You'll notice that Spec is very effortlessly taking control of the puck with this new mallet.
Yep, has it again. He sets up, goes for a right wall, it's missed. Matt takes possession. Goes for the fake out. Goes for the right. Oh! I thought that it went in. I need to see that again. I swear that went in. Did it go in and bounce? It
looked like it just went under Matt's
That was
arm.
fantastic. I mean, for 1 second there. Oh, blazing fast right wall under from Spec.
While you were distracted with that instant replay off of Bank, looks like Matt is resetting up, letting the drift.
Yep. They've got 10 seconds to get out of the goal and put it on the table. And you know, when you are trying to understand what the player did that got past you, it's a perfect time just to think about it.
Now, if you were in a situation like Matt's, where you're up against an opponent with not only
right
very
wall
high level
over.
of skill, but using a completely new mallet, what would be your approach to this?
You know, if I knew the mallet like I do a little bit, just knowing what I've, you know, experienced with it, I would know that it is going to be... Oh, that's another great right wall. Spec looks a little smug this game. I would know that that mallet's good defensively. So if I made my shots, I would make them very hard and very fast and very unreadable. Which is basic strategy anyway.
Oh! A lot of bank shots off the right wall between these two.
And it was a right wall over. That's one of Matt's best shots because people block the under instead and they leave the over wide open. But if I was in Matt's position, I would understand that also that Spec is going to be giving away a lot of his shots because he has to hit it extra hard.
Ooh,
that
excellent
mallet is
repossession.
very heavy. So I think Spec's going to give up a lot of possessions because he's showing his shot before he hits it.
Another right wall bang.
Over. Look at, you'll see this in slow motion. Spec goes to block that perfect under, and he leaves that other side perfectly open. Matt steals possession back again. 4-2. Oh, he gets it back again.
Now, Matt knows a lot of these slower shots that he's known for isn't going to work on a mallet like this, so he's taking a lot of these incredible power shots in mind games.
Yeah. Now, if Spec was using that black mallet, Matt wouldn't really have to work too hard to gain possession back. We'd have to worry about the blazing speeds that Spec's going to shoot with. But right now, I think that mallet might be the perfect defense against, or the perfect victory for Matt in this case. I do think that Spec's going to switch back if he starts losing, right?
Yeah, Spec known for his comeback. Whoops.
We got Brooke saying keep it together and getting sleepy. That's why they do this drift. You see that drift he's doing right there? It's almost to lull the other player into watching it, almost like the serpent's head, right? And then you can make your sudden strike.
And pulling back
Just like that, exactly like that. Lulls him into it, goes for that cut shot.
Now, the difference between Matt and Spec's approach to setting up this drift, of course, is Matt likes to set up a lot of pressure by implying that he's going to take a specific kind of shot with a twist of the wrist, while Spec himself tries to keep his movements minimal so that way when you try to read his mallet, it's just these sudden and unpredictable shots.
Right. Matt does a lot of his shots from different sections of the table, which sometimes gives away his shots because he'll do one thing from, you know, the same spot. He's only 2 points away from winning his second game in a row against Spec, which is not easy to do. Spec goes for the cut, gets it back.
Maintaining possession off of an
Goes for
earlier
the right
bank
wall.
shot.
Oh, he loses possession.
Ooh.
Matt gets it. He was not over the line. It was really close, though.
Maintaining possession here. Excellent left wall.
Beautiful left wall under. It's now game point to 3.
Another shot of the day from Matt. Left wall under is our shot of the week here.
Brooke in the chat saying for Matt to sing the song of his people, which I'm assuming is a gurgling sound. I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Now, I would sing for all of us. I'd embarrass
I'm
every
gonna
single
make,
one of us.
when we get on the couch after this, I'm gonna ask Matt what the song of his people is and make him sing it.
A lot of people betting on Matt today.
You know, we found that the underdog always has the highest vote. Always. And right now, according to the stats and according to all their previous games, Matt's the underdog.
Underdog of underdogs. Matt has not actually won a full proper match against Spec, if I recall correctly. So he's
Right.
oh,
there
excellent.
it is! Left wall under! And it was a forced error. Spec actually blocked it, but he didn't give it enough of a push, and it went in, I believe. Yep, right there, he actually touched the side of it, but he didn't push it far enough over. It moved his mallet out of the way.
Another fantastic game taken by Matt.
Fantastic. We're going to see at the top of the screen here, you'll see a second bar there for Matt, showing that he now has 2 games to 0. And the next game is going to start in 1 minute. This is a perfect time to throw anything in the chat. This is when the players walk over to the screen and they read all the chats that you guys have for them. So, unlike other sports, you can directly message the players at this very moment. So, throw something in the chat, and this is when they're going to stand there and read it. It's a little bit to the left of the camera there, where the TV is, and they get to see all of the different chats. The TV that you see there actually underneath the table is actually for the refs, so that the refs are able to watch the replays as they happen in case they make a call or didn't make a call that went over the line. I'm excited about this next game like crazy though, because the question that I think everyone's asking is Spec gonna switch back to the Delrin mallet or no? If only he was right here to ask. He says no.
Well, I mean, there is no better time to test a new thing than a high-stakes match like this. It'll teach you every in and out of a brand new piece of material.
You know, I heard that this one guy used that mallet yesterday and won an entire tournament at the arcade, and so maybe there's a little bit of that at play. Maybe there's a little bit of, you know, testosterone at play. He says no to that too.
All right. All right, looks like these two players getting ready to set up again. Matt riding a bit of a momentum wave here. Spec has gone back to his old mallet, but's given repossession of the puck back to Matt, who's setting up very methodically, as he is known to do. Now, Matt knows this mallet a little bit better than the new Teflon one. Knows that his he can go for a little bit more of his iconic slower shots, but Spec is able to go back to a lot of his fast power shots off of the left wall of bank.
Matt sets, oh, beautiful left wall over. Those overs is what Matt is the best at, and it is Spec's absolute weakness. In fact, when I'm on right wall under, when I'm playing Spec, it doesn't matter what shot I get in on him, he won't say anything, except if I do an over on him. If I get an over on him, he'll yell it out loud, overs! It's almost like you've cheated or something. Like, it's like you've cheated. So whenever I do an over, he's like, what, overs?
Oh, another beautiful straight from Matt. Matt says, I'm familiar with your games.
Yeah, that cut was fantastic. He didn't give it away too much either. He pulls it back up and just that barely a flick of the wrist. Spec's now up 3-2. He's using the mallet that he's a lot more used to, though.
Not only that, but Matt is used to the slower pace of the dampened shots from the Teflon mallet. Probably not ready for those very high speed bullet straights.
Right. The Delrin is the Delrin mallet. We're trying to come up with names for all of the mallets. He called that black one Mallet X.
Mallet X?
Yeah, that's what he called it. I don't think it had anything to do with anything else, just the project itself. But we were trying to figure out names for the white mallet.
I'd probably go for something a little bit more lame, like Black Mamba.
That's what I said. I said Black Mamba is lame. Don't you lame me. But the white mallet, so I finally AI'd it. I was like soft, white, and like really strong and heavy and powerful. And so it put on Cloud Hammer.
Beautiful right bank.
Beautiful. Was that a right wall over that he did again? It was right to the other side of that goal, and Spec has fallen for it almost every time. Right.
At the same time, though, the right wall seems to be the bit of the weakness for both of these competitors today.
Well, so Spec is doing the right wall unders, and Matt's doing the overs. So if you'll see where Spec, oops, I guess I hit that too late. You'll notice that Matt, when he does the right bank, it goes to Spec's right side of Spec's goal, the far side, the side furthest away from the bank that it hits. Whereas Spec does it close, the closer side. I'll show you right here. So like that, there's a cut, another cut attempt. He gets it back, goes for that right wall under. Oh, loses possession. That's the part about that mallet, is that he's gonna do that a lot, because that mallet hits it so hard, it's easy to lose possession.
Yes, one of the major benefits of the new Teflon mallet is it's very difficult to lose control unless the other competitor manages to pull out all the stops. But
right, exactly. He gets back control, and goes for a forehand, keeps control, goes for another forehand.
This might just be the longest round between these two so far.
Oh, he loses possession on his own, a completely unforced error. Matt did not force that, he just let go of it. Matt is I'm assuming he's gonna go for that right wall over again right here. Let's see what he does. Sets it up.
Very methodical.
Goes for straight down the middle. I'm assuming he was going for the cut. Brings it back, goes for the cut, keeps possession, goes for the cut, it gets it! Third cut attempt in a row, but nailed it on the third try. Third time's a try, as they say. Spec sets it up, goes for the cut. Oh, a forced error that time. Forced meaning that Matt did, the other player did have something to do with it. Goes for that right wall under, but Spec is blocking those unders. He's not blocking the over. Let's see what happens, what Matt does here. He pulls it back. Sets up, goes for the over. Do you see how it went to the far side? But it was a bit too slow, and Spec was wise to it.
Brooke in the chat with a beautiful suggestion for the new Teflon mallet's name. Pillsbury Doughboy. It is large, soft, and heavy.
Right? That's actually amazing. When we looked it up, AI said Cloud Hammer, and and the Spec liked it, so we call it Cloud Hammer.
No, I'm sticking with Pillsbury Doughboy.
Pillsbury
So far,
Doughboy. That was a great shot. Spec is now up 6-4 with that. Was that a cut? It was a cut. Yep, right down that straight, right to the side of Matt's goal. Matt is now looking down the barrel. If Spec gets one more point, it'll be 2-1 in Matt's favor.
Just as expected, Spec bringing it back after losing 2 games in a row, not wanting to lose a set too bad if he can.
Matt loses possession. Spec kind of goes for some wild shots, loses possession. Matt could almost tie it up here.
No,
Sets it up.
Spec is a bit of a momentum player, somebody who longer he plays somehow managed to continuously get more and more powerful.
Agreed. See, here's that right wall over replay. You can see it goes to the far side of the goal. It hits, and then it goes to the far side. It doesn't go to that closer side of the goal that's toward the thing. Here, Spec could win it all right now.
Very
possession. Goes for the cut. The cut's been working on Matt, so he's tried it 2 or 3 times. Right wall under. Oh, so this is the right wall under compared to the over. You'll notice that it hits right next to where the rail is. It hits closest to the rail. So it hit on Matt's left side of his goal compared to Matt's shooting it to the right side of Spec's goal. I'm not sure if that's making sense. Sometimes it's hard to show you. Soon we should have some on-screen graphics, and so we can kind of show everybody what that looks like. So now you're going to see that Spec has 1 win to 2. Matt needs 2 more to close out the set. The first person that gets to 2 sets closes out this entire match. I'm kind of excited about this one. I mean, with him switching to that black mallet, so now the next question is he going to go back to the white mallet, or is he going to keep with the Delrin mallet?
Well, he has a little bit more of the security buffer, so he might be feeling a little bit more confident, but as we've already seen, the black mallet puts up results, but that could also just be the result of Spec being so used to it at this point.
It's funny because it started a controversy in Idaho. The controversy is the sound of that mallet, because it has this really high-pitched ting sound every time it hits.
Right.
And some players love it and some players hate it. I'm a person, I don't like it as much. It sounds very different. But most of the other players love it a lot. They wish it always sounded that way, which is kind of funny to me.
I think it is a very entertaining noise at the very least. It doesn't seem to be messing up our microphones at all. Now, hearing it in person is a very different experience too.
You know, they corrugate roads to make certain sounds as you drive over them, and it makes me wonder if we can make our mallets just to make different sounds on purpose, like a quack every time you hit it. I think that'd be amazing. I think we're about to go in to the next game right now. This is going to be game number 4. Matt only needs 2 more games to close out this match.
All right. Nathan heading out to start their game again. Now, once again, if we have any new people in the chat, you can find us on Facebook at American Air Hockey League or on Instagram at Idaho Air Hockey. Now, waiting for the 2 competitors to rejoin Nathan at the table. More entertaining if it made a fart noise. I agree, or maybe like a Bruce Lee hi-ya, something from a kung fu movie might be interesting too. Now, Nathan cleaning down the table, of course. I don't blame him one bit. Now, earlier, we've had to see a complete alteration in Matt's playstyle due to the material of the mallet. Now, Matt himself says that in his older age, he's losing a lot of his reaction speed, and I'm wondering if that's playing a part in Spec in these very, very high-speed shots with the black mallet. But that being said, I can barely follow it with my eyes, and Matt seems to be deflecting a lot of these shots with relative ease. Now, looks like we're getting ready to set up the next round. All right. Now, Spec pulling back a little bit. Looks like he wants to aim for something with a little bit more power due to the fact of the dampening of the shot. It's very hard to get power behind his shots from up close, going for a larger arm movement there. But Matt able to take possession of the puck, taking a very methodical approach, which he knows he can get away with. Ooh, but an unfortunate deflection back into the left wall, bank into the goal. Another slow setup. 2 completely different paces from Spec using these 2 different mallets. It has to be throwing Matt off of his game, but he seems to be maintaining a relative control here. very level-headed. Knows he has the lead, but not getting cocky. Ooh.
Ooh, steals that possession.
Now that is the one downside to Matt's mallet versus this matchup, is that even if power is put into spec shots, despite the dampening of the mallet, Matt's mallet is not as good at receiving them.
Yeah, so the green mallets, there's 3 that were made at the same exact time. They have the same material, the orange, green, and pink mallets. They look like kid toys, but they're actually made.
Yeah, a
with
little
the same,
rubbery.
Yeah, believe it or not, they were
rubbery,
actually
but
made
they're
by
very
Mark
hard.
Robbins about 20 years ago.
That's so.
Yeah, and they're
Ooh,
oh, no.
unfortunate.
Yeah, unforced error there.
Matt taking a moment to think for himself.
Spec
Has 10 seconds. He's
Spec
gonna
didn't
take
touch
advantage.
that. Yeah, he scored on himself there without Spec even interfering.
He was expecting a catch from Spec, likely due to his slower shot.
But the bottom line, the green ones are a little bit softer, so they actually are a little bit better for defense. They're not super hard.
No, I believe that's the same material that Spec made my low top out of.
Right. Beautiful shot from Spec. It's now 3-0.
It's very much getting
Matt's
to
trying
Matt's
to figure
head.
out. Yeah, exactly, and that's something I've noticed about Matt. Sometimes he spirals down.
Matt is a very cerebral person. I know this from playing against him in the arcade himself. When he was teaching me, he taught me a lot of these mental games and this very, very slow setups, but slower shots are just not good against this new mallet, and he's not used to it.
Right.
That being said, scored a beautiful bank shot just a moment ago.
He told me that right before this game he was feeling anxious, and he said he wasn't sure why, because he doesn't normally get anxious with these games. He's played many times with Spec. He plays all the time. But I think he's just a little more anxious, maybe because it's Brooke's birthday!
Happy birthday,
yeah,
Brooke.
So great job to make him feel anxious about your birthday, Brooke. Way to go.
Now, that being said, of course, Matt is not necessarily somebody to let this entirely get to his head. He has a lead, but he doesn't seem to be getting very cocky about it. In fact, he actually seems very stressed about it.
Agreed, which is actually kind of something I'm liking seeing in him.
Ooh.
Cross shot from Spec. So that's what called a cross versus a cut. It goes to the other side. So if it went to the closer side to the camera, it'd be a cut, but it went to the far side of that goal, which is a cross. Something that Matt has been working on is you'll notice that when if you watch any of his prior games, when the other person has 6 points, suddenly Matt changes his game style and plays very carefully. He usually wins when the other player's if it's like 6-6, for example, Matt plays very different. So at the beginning of the games, he plays sort of nonchalant, but then once the game progresses and the other player gets more points, he gets more and more serious. And so one of the things that we practice is, and I think you heard us practicing earlier, a forced error. Spec trying to shoot it right back fast.
Now, you'd think this new mallet would be good for these forced errors, but
Yeah.
he's falling victim to it quick.
Ooh, a beautiful right wall over. That's that shot that's gonna be the end of Spec if he can't learn to block that. You'll and I mean just discus is off the thing. We've got somebody in the chat, saying that they think it might be against the rules to change mallet during the gameplay. That's not correct. Actually, the player can have a mallet in each hand if they want to, but only one mallet is allowed on the table per player. So I could hold a mallet in my left hand, let's just say the black mallet, and I could be playing with the white mallet, and then, for defense, but as soon as I could switch back and start using my left hand if I wanted to, as long as they both aren't touching the table at the same time.
Now, Matt seeming to collect himself a little bit, putting Spec on the edge here. Now, if he was using his other mallet, that would very likely be a shot in Matt's favor, at least a repossession.
Brooke is spitting some fire. Oh, beautiful cut from Spec. But we got Brooke in chat saying that she thinks that Spec should have brought a third mallet because both of these don't seem to be working. It's funny because they are very opposite mallets. One's extremely good at defense, the other one's extremely good at offense, and they're not in the middle, which is where Matt's using. Matt has a mid mallet, which is very good for both. It's sort of in the middle. I compare to the old school. Do you remember Tony Hawk's Pro Skater? You choose your player, and each had their own stats. One would be great with one thing and terrible at the other, and then the next guys be basically opposite. That's like mallets, right? Some people choose shoes, but air hockey players they choose mallets. Ooh, right wall under.
Yet again, that right wall, a weakness of both players today.
Oh no! Spec charges. He goes way out of position and gets immediately punished for it. It is now 5-5.
You'd think he'd be taking more of a careful approach than charging, given this mallet doesn't have a lot of power.
Oh, he loses possession. I heard it. Matt sets it up. This is Matt's moment to take on. I mean, winning the third game in the set is such a mental change for the opposing player. He keeps possession. He almost let go of it. Sets it up.
A little bit of frustration on Spec's side of the...
Goes for that over. It was an off goal. That was another missed over there. He's going for that over. He knows that's what works, but he's missing his shot.
Not getting a lot of those catches that he'd be hoping with that new mallet. Matt is maintaining it.
Oh, and he goes for the under. That's one of the first unders I've seen him do. It's now game point to 5. The mallet's sticking in the goal. Sometimes you do a really good shot, it sticks, and the players will yell, "Let that sink in." I'll be right back. I'll go help open up that goal.
All right. Well, Spec definitely letting that take a moment to sink in as he busts out a coat hanger to get this thing unstuck. The first under from Matt today. Spec finally getting used to blocking those right bank overs. Matt taking advantage of his methodical play, really benefiting here. Methodical but not slow, not letting Spec take repossession of the puck, which is exactly the whole purpose of this new mallet. Puck back in play. Spec taking a moment to collect himself, knowing that he was unable to regain control that entire last round.
This could be it. And there it is. It's now tie game 6-6. Next point wins it. Is Spec going to tie up the games 2-2? Or is Matt going to be in a pretty devastating lead 3-1?
A bit of frustration from last time these two went head-to-head. Matt lost by 1 point. He wants to maintain this lead when it's at match point like this. He wants to never let himself get into that sort of situation again. So he's taking a very methodical approach, but he's not being slow about it one bit.
So last week, Matt played against Scott and won 5 out of 6 6-6s. So we tracked those because we want to see who was better at a 6-6, and Matt won 5 out of 6. Oh, there it is! Right wall over again! Take a look at this shot. It's the one that's been working so well against Spec. He brings it up. You'll notice it's about the middle of the table, and he hits it to the far side, and you see Spec moves to block the under, and then is just one fraction of a second late to block the over. This now gives Matt the 3rd win. All he needs is one more to take this whole match.
Now that being said, Matt can't let himself get comfortable, especially with Spec himself being so used to these large comebacks. Now, Spec has a couple of different variables going on right now, too. You'd think that the difficulty for Matt would be the 2 different play styles that the 2 different mallets allow for, but Spec himself actually needs to adjust to both mallets every time that he switches. He has a good control, but he's so used to using this much more aggressive play style, but this is a fantastic time to be testing this new defensive mallet. That being said, Matt is not letting him allow for the new Teflon mallet to dampen his shots, a lot of the time just bouncing off the table and retaking possession. But
Matt's taking 2 minutes between this one. Each player has the right to take a 2-minute break in between games, once per set. I also accidentally said that if Matt won this, he'd take the whole challenge match. I meant to say he'd take the set. So Matt just needs one more game to win a set, and then if he wins another set, he has this whole match. You know, there's a rule that says you can't have a mallet made out of multiple materials as far as like the circumference and what plastic it's made out of. But I really want one that's made out of both of those 2 mallets you see on the left screen there.
Like a half and half cow pattern?
Yeah, it would be amazing. First off, it would look like a yin-yang, which would be really fun. And secondly, it would one side would be amazing for defense, and the other side would be amazing for offense.
Being able to rotate the mallet like that. Now, the mallet naturally rotates in the middle of play, though. Do you think that would be disruptive, or would you have to practice a little bit more control?
It would for me. There's a lot of players. I mean, I've asked a lot of players this because I wasn't sure if it was just me, but a lot of players, when they're playing, it does sort of rotate. So if you have like this one spot you like to hold on to, I used to put tape on one side of my mallet on the inside, and I found out right away that as I'm playing, it starts to rotate. And
a musical mallet would be
that would be really hard. I agree.
Bridget suggesting maybe a mallet made of a bunch of different materials that have different pitches when the puck hits the mallet. That would be very interesting, you know. I would like to see a player attempt to throw a game while also being able to play it.
What's that called? It's called a steel drum, right? The steel drum.
Oh, that'd be awesome, actually.
Make it a circumference like that. That would be amazing.
That'd be cool. It'd be kind of hard to do that without bending the wall of the mallet, but like that would be spectacular.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be awesome.
All right, this game is right about to go underway. This is a possible set game, meaning that if Matt wins this one, he wins the set. And basically, that one game that Spec won would just be in the garbage, and then it would set Matt up for to win this challenge match. So we'll see what happens.
Now, Matt taking 2 minutes, as he has the right to do, definitely wants to collect himself because, as you mentioned earlier, that Matt has like a completely different approach when he's so far ahead, and he doesn't want to let that get in the way this time.
Yeah. Right now, Matt's on the couch just hanging out, and Spec is over here practicing. You can see the pacing. Spec is not normally under the barrel like this. Usually he has a dominating lead over Matt, so this is putting Spec in a very different mindset.
Switching between the two different mallets definitely has a big part to do with this. Now, I have to admit, so Spec is the one that's been teaching me to play recently, but so one might think that I have a little bit of bias here, but knowing that Matt is the underdog today, I'm not really supposed to be showing a preference for one of two players, but I would think it would be spectacular to see Matt finally take this one. Now, 2 minutes are up, so it looks like the two are getting ready to go. Spec going back to his black mallet. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky thing, because not only is this the mallet that Spec is a little bit more used to, but this mallet has a lot more power in it, so he's able to go up close like he did, unlike what he did last set. Or last game, my bad. But once again, Matt taking possession with this very methodical play. Now, he is able to go back to doing some of his slower shots, but I don't know if he is going to. Oh, an unfortunate forced error on Spec's part, going back into his goal, another point in Matt's favor. Repossession from Matt. His lead does not seem to be getting to his head. He's still... Oh, another beautiful straight. And that was on the cross side, of course, which seems to be a side that Spec is a little bit weaker to today, outside of a right wall over. Kind of hard not to be quiet as these two go head-to-head. You can feel the tension brewing between the two as Spec desperately wants to take this new game.
Oh, that right wall, or was that, yeah, right wall over again, right? Same exact shot that he's done.
Oh,
he does
my
it
goodness!
Back to back, it's now 4-0. Matt's about to win this set.
Now, Spec picking up his pace, definitely used to his dampened shots. He needs to be shooting faster as it's the one thing that his mallet allows for him to do.
Sam asked who's number 2 in Idaho. Number 2 is George Anderson, currently ranked.
Now, number 2, that's an Oregon player. Ooh, oh, lost control of the mallet
there. It is an Oregon player. Number 4 is Sam, who recently moved.
And who's number 1, Nathan?
Me currently, but
just wanted to give you a little bit of a second to show off.
Only by a very small thread. Spec sets up. Is he going to come back after being 4 in the hole? Let's see. He switches to his offensive mallet.
Just the sheer focus on Matt's face.
And I'm glad because usually when Matt's winning, he really kind of goes into this mode of being really smug and just kind of goofing around trying to get in the other player's head. The thing is, there's certain players you can't get in their head. Spec's one of those players.
A bit of frustration on Matt's side as he loses possession in a forced error on his part. Unfortunate. Still has a 4-1 lead, though. 3 games to 1.
4-2 now.
4-2.
Oh, no, you're right. It is 4-1.
Yeah, Spec has not been able to take a point until this very moment, and if he continues to give Matt possession of the puck, it's what he is suffering the most from right now. Now it looks like Matt's trying to relax a little bit. Spec, on the other hand, is as focused as ever.
Never relax. That's the lesson of that story. You can see Matt, he's like pulling back a little bit, and you're right, it took him way too long to be able to block that. All he had to do was move his mallet over 1 inch to the left, but instead he pulled back instead of moving to the left.
Oh, unfortunate self-score there.
Scores on himself again.
Now, never relax around Spec. Now, as you mentioned earlier, Spec used to go around an arcade challenging people to a $100 money match, and he would do this for as long as he would be there for whoever would challenge him. So he's used to these longer games and building up momentum as he's going. So relaxing is definitely not the call, but Matt's eye never unfocused from his play right now.
Man, I mean, but Spec's come back from a 4-0 to now a 3-5. He's only 2 points below now.
Not to mention, he did take a game. He has the momentum. It's not like he can't grasp victory here, but Matt, knowing that there's so many stakes involved here, he's just not gonna let himself make the same mistakes.
Off goal there. Let's see if he does it again. Brings it up.
Ooh.
Off the table goes a Spec. It's a great block. And so what that means is because it flew off the table, but it was a defensive block by Spec, it goes to him. So he gets possession.
Now, possession's good in either case, but even if he was using the Teflon mallet, he would have had absolute control there.
Beautiful cut!
Now, the question is if he would have the same power as that shot with the Teflon mallet.
Well, the Teflon one is so much heavier, so when you hit it, it actually is hitting very hard. it just requires so much of a build up to hit it. It requires that 1 extra second to smack into it. So what that's doing is it's giving away your shot.
A larger telegraph.
Players work really hard at masking their shot to look like other shots and to make their wrists move a certain way.
Something I myself could use a little bit of training for.
All of us, every one of us could. Matt
losing control of the mallet again. You can tell he's nervous.
Man, I mean, and right there, that could have put it 4-6, but instead he loses the mallet, which gives a possession to the other player. And Spec could right now tie this up and bring it to another game.
Maintaining control.
And there it is. He gets that cut again, which has been working so well on Matt.
The comeback that Spec is known for.
That's one of Matt's biggest weaknesses. And even if you get 1 or 2 in, it's one thing. But if you start getting 3, 4, or 5 of the same shot in on somebody, you start getting really upset. And speaking of getting the same shot in, there's that right wall over again on Spec. Matt is now at set point to 5. Spec has possession. He sets it up. Brings it, goes for that cut, almost fumbles in. Matt now has a shot to win the first set.
A last-second adjustment for Matt, allowing him to not...
Goes for a fake out.
Spec's not nervous.
Goes for the shot.
Twitchy.
He gets it back.
Oh, I'm on the...
Goes for straight down the middle. He's trying for that cut. It looks like. I bet you he ends it with a right wall over.
Yeah,
the right wall over. I mean, and so that's called a setup. He was setting up Spec to go for that cut, and he did a cut 2 or 3 times in a row, right? And then he goes for that right wall over. You can see the disappointment on Spec's face. I think you're going to see a whole different monster come out of Spec, though, in a second, though, because he usually only loses 1 set before he comes out swinging. So this next match, I think that we're going to see a very, very different Spec. Now we go into a match break, and we're going to have the players go jump on the couch, and we can ask them some questions. Right now, fans, I want you to start throwing some questions in there, and we'll read them out to the players and have them answer your questions. So this is a perfect time to ask some questions, throw them in the chat, and I'm going to dive out there and ask them some questions. Mizuki, you're welcome to join me. We can go ask him some questions real quick. It'll be kind of fun.
All right, we'll see you
on
there
the flip side. You're probably cool kids putting in. All right, let's dive over here.
That's 1 out of 1 set, right?
Yeah.
So bright.
So, for my sound guy listening in, the mic over here is the orange mic, and so if these guys are a bit quiet, you can turn that up for them. Yeah.
La li la lo.
Matt,
Yes.
I've got one question and one question only for you.
Yeah.
Will you please sing the song of your people?
A special request from our viewers.
Yeah, it was from the birthday girl.
Hey.
Is that what it is? Okay. I was wondering what you were gonna do. I thought you were gonna do something ridiculous
For
like
my dad.
I thought you were gonna be like making pancakes. No. All right.
That being said, how you feeling?
The bull part.
You just won your very first challenge match, or no, your very first set. Is that the first set that you've won against Spec for a thing? I thought that was one of your first sets that you've ever beaten him in. No? How many sets have you beaten him in?
Towards the beginning, a few,
How you
but
feeling
not
about it?
recently.
Not in the last year, yeah.
It's been a few, but more towards the beginning, but less towards recently.
Awesome. Oh, it got nice and quiet now. They turned the table off. Sorry, I totally forgot to do that.
In here now, but
Yeah.
how you feeling about it, Matt? Feel like you're gonna be able to carry the momentum, or are you gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Spec's known for a lot of his comebacks.
Unless Spec cheats, I think that.
I've seen it happen too many times to you, though, Matt, where you're in the lead, you get smug. This happened against your game with Scott recently, where you were up a set, you were feeling good, and then he came back swinging. What are you going to do to keep in the right headspace for this next set coming up?
Well, I'm not going to make the mistake that I made last week and mess around in the first set and not take it seriously.
Right. Yeah, you got to bring everything to the table, of course. Now, Spec, you are bringing a completely new material as far as the mallet is concerned today. So, how are you feeling about the new Teflon mallet?
It's very interesting, you know. It hits softer, but weighs more, which is really the opposite of what you want it to do.
Yeah.
But it also stops the puck a lot better than the Delrin.
Do you find yourself having to completely change your playstyle versus your other the black mallet? that we're used to seeing?
Not really, because most of my playstyle is about moving my mallet around the puck. So all it is I need to put more strength into my shot.
Right.
Basically.
And do you feel like that's going to telegraph your shots a little bit more, or do you think you can
Not
keep
really.
it nice?
It's got them a few times, you know. But it's a very interesting material, and I did have to cut down a lot of the weight out of it.
Now, of course, being able to use a new material like this could be very much a pride point in a lot of these cases. But so, how are you feeling about it? Do you think this is something that could be pretty revolutionary as far as?
Well, yeah. Nathan said it best. It could be a contender for the best mallet out there for defense purposes, because it just stops the puck dead in its tracks a lot much more than the cream or dyed mallet, which is kind of unheard of, you know, because the cream mallets have been revolutionary for
Nathan
30
said
years.
Yesterday, if you could get like 2 puzzle pieces of the Delrin and slap that together with the seamlessly with your Teflon and have one side Delrin, one side Teflon, that would be the perfect mallet.
I mean, there were some people in the chat that were saying that Spec was cheating using 2 different mallets in the middle of the game. I'm like, no, that's perfectly legal. You can even just have both of them and look like a dork. They were saying, okay, then maybe they should make them out of a material that sounds different because they heard the difference of the black mallet, right? And then they said that you could make them make certain pitches. And then the chat got to the point where they said if you did it with the right pitch, you could rickroll your opponent mid-game. So Matt, you got a question from the chat.
Who's it from?
From Birthday Brooke.
Okay, Birthday Brooke.
Birthday Brooke says, Matt, what are you doing to combat the different playstyles afforded by Spec's mallets?
Something that I wanted to ask myself. How does it feel?
I just have to change it slightly depending on what mallet. One time I didn't realize he was playing with a different mallet, and I was still using the other playstyle, and it started messing me up. And I was like, oh crap, he's using the white mallet, not the black mallet. I better change my style slightly to accommodate.
So as far as style changes,
because he can capture way easily with the white mallet, so coming at him full offense is not a good idea because he'll just capture the puck away from me.
Right. Now, without giving too many secrets away to your opponent, of course, do you have an idea of how to start not finally, but start combating this constant back and forth change of him using the 2 different mallets?
No, I just have to stay cool, calm, and collected, and just keep to the plan.
Right.
And constantly adjust to what he's doing because it's a constant adjustment.
I just had my son's birthday party here, and they were using these Nerf darts that whistle, and I just realized if we put one of those on the mallet as you swing, that'd be amazing.
And distracting.
It would be so distracting. Maybe like a clown nose that you honk. There you go. There's nothing in the rules that states against it that much. Okay, so right now, fans out there, this is the perfect time to throw some questions in chat for these guys. Spec, what are you going to do? I've noticed that oftentimes when you lose a set, you absolutely destroy in the second set. Is that what's going to happen? Is that what we're about to see here?
Well, I can't really give too much away with my opponent sitting here, so...
We're not going to ask for any secrets,
you'll have to see on the table.
Okay.
Do you have confidence?
Okay.
I know he powers up a little bit.
A little bit. He's used to these, longer games at the arcade, challenging all the people for the money matches and stuff like that, but you seem very calm yourself, so it doesn't look like you're very scared of it, which is good.
No, I've seen it before. I just have to adjust to it.
Now, despite being opponents today, you're actually both Worlds partners, are you not?
Yes.
When
I hope Potato Power can...
Power.
Potato Power might take
together.
down the Struggle Buzz next year.
Yeah. Not going to happen.
We have a new secret weapon.
That's true. That's true. But when the mallets are put together, is that just called salt and pepper? What do we call that? Newspaper? Penguin? The penguin mallet? What's that going to be called? Spec, if we put them together, would that be yin yang?
I think it might be the yin yang, because the white mallet is the soft but formidable mallet, and the black one is the more aggressive.
Now, what did you say the name of the white mallet was?
It's called Pearl Hammer.
Oh, was it Pearl? I thought it was Cloud Hammer.
It might be. It might be Cloud
Hammer.
Hammer.
Well, we
good,
actually
too.
had a beautiful suggestion from the viewers today, because we not only heard that it's a heavier, denser mallet, but it's also very soft in comparison to the black mallet. We had a suggestion.
Just like Matt?
Well, we were going to call it Pillsbury Doughboy.
Call the Matt Belly mallet.
Michelin Man. There we
Oh,
go.
there we go, yeah.
But we're not sponsored yet, so Pillsbury, Michelin, just let us know.
What's the monster from Ghostbusters?
Oh, the
Stay
Marshmallow.
Stay Puft Marshmallow. There we go. We can call it Stay Puft.
We've got a question. They said, would Moss Agate make a good mallet? Material. Asking for a friend. I know it's kind of pricey.
Not only is it pricey,
Is he asking
that would be
about
a very-
cornering the market again?
That's a gemstone though. Wouldn't that be pretty difficult to work into?
Is that Brandon asking about cornering the market?
That wasn't Brandon. Actually, that was birthday. That was birthday Brooke. Yeah. Once again, happy birthday, Brooke. Thank you for jumping in the chat. Thank you for asking these guys questions. We got the next match starting in about half a minute now, so we should let them go, let them get rested up for the next match. Wish them some good luck. They read all of your chats, so yeah, throw them some messages out there.
And once again, for any new people in the chat, you can find us on Facebook at American Air Hockey League, and you can also find us on Instagram as Idaho Air Hockey.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
So
We
like
need to
and
adjust that
subscribe.
someday. Yeah, like, subscribe. All right, see you in the next round.
Thank you.
Going down.
Jeremy's Downtown Arcade? Yeah.
There's a lot of pretty awesome comments that are coming through. I like your crew.
All right, we are back from our little break. Spec once again showing off his two yin yang mallets, as he called it earlier, getting ready for the next match. Now, we do have the scoreboard updated, where Matt currently has one set against Spec. But as we already know, that Spec is very much a momentum-based player, where he can start a little bit slower, and he just keeps picking up and picking up and picking up where it goes. But these two are world partners, so they're very used to seeing each other's playstyles. However, it becomes a very difficult battle of whether or not you want to stick to what you already know, or if you want to change up your playstyle and try something new, which it looks like Spec is bringing to the table today. But Matt is bringing a different degree of determination. But yes, Matt is currently maintaining a very, very firm hold of the lead right now.
Players at the ready.
Alright, the two are getting ready. Once again, Spec is able to rejoin near the middle of the table with his harder mallet. Oh, an immediate point in Matt's favor. Spec wasn't ready for that. The puck had been going into Matt's control, his possession, almost every single start of the game. So having it go straight to his goal this time was a little bit of a change of pace for Spec, and he wasn't ready for it. So sitting at 1-0 versus Matt, or 1-0 in Matt's favor right now.
Matt's had a lot of first possessions, actually.
Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. He's had a lot of first possessions, and Spec wasn't ready for him to immediately go for a point that time. Spec not used to the puck going towards his side of the table. Lightning fast play from Matt, though.
I mean, but to get the very first point, especially after Spec's expecting to just dominate this round, I will say I've seen Spec do that a lot of times. Sometimes he even will play easy on purpose just to give someone that fighting chance to make it more fun. Spec is a sport player. What I mean is he plays for sport. He likes the thrill of the challenge. He doesn't play as much to win as he does to have the adrenaline rush.
And that's something that actually tends to work in his favor, though, because not only it kind of allows for this very nonchalant air, which can be very nerve-wracking for your opponent. Your opponent looks very calm across the table.
Take a look at this this double shot that he does here. So he does a purposeful off goal to the right-hand side, and then follows it up with that cross.
Yeah, I've been gotten a couple of times with that one by Spec himself, too.
Yeah, because it puts you out of position. Ooh, he almost got possession back. Ooh, he does. Nope, loses it. And Matt now has it. Chance to put the game in his favor here. He goes for the right wall over. It's blocked and retained possession with the harder mallet.
Both players so tense in the shoulders with their arms, but so relaxed.
Beautiful right wall shot from Spec. I believe that even turned into an over. Usually Spec's best shots are the under, but it was an over. Matt didn't even move. It froze Matt completely. When you play that slow game, sometimes it freezes up the other player where they don't want to move. Oh, and Spec charges, gets possession back. Like I said, I have a feeling, so if I had to make some bets, I have a feeling that Spec is going to not only win this game, he's going to probably win at least 2 or 3 games a set, if not the entire set.
I have to be a bit of the contrarian. Spec is the one that's been teaching me how to play air hockey, so I have to have a little bit of bias towards wanting to watch my mentor lose for once, but it doesn't look like he's going to let me have that sort of that pleasure as he's taking this this new set.
Do you see
at
that
a
headband?
completely different pace.
Do you see that headband?
Oh, is that the source of his
that
power?
Means that is the source of his power. When you see the headband,
oh my goodness!
Shoot! Instantly returned.
Who cares about setup?
When you see the headband go on, you know it's over. That's when you know the other person, as they say, school's in session. Jokes are all over.
No
more Mr. Nice Guy, however you want to say it.
Matt with his fire sleeves and Spec with his lightning hairband. I got a little bit of the battle of the elements going on too.
Oh man, what are the things that people say when they're about to crush somebody? Right wall over, screaming fast from Matt. Oh
my goodness!
And then Spec once again. Now 4-5.
Spec not caring nearly as much about his formerly very methodical form of play before, something that he kind of needed to do with that new Teflon mallet. He is taking full advantage of the power behind this black one.
Yep. And the speed of it, and that's what this black one is so good at, is the incredible speed. You're able to fire off shots so fast, and you can win basically with what's called a disturbance or interference defense.
Now, Matt, on the other hand, kind of retaining his very methodical setups as he has been all game so far. He's not somebody to take things too fast. He wants full control over what he wants to do.
Spec trying to freeze him up again does not work.
He was ready for that right wall this time.
Matt steals possession. Does he tie up the game? He loses possession instead. Spec takes it, goes to the right. Oh, goes for the cross and nails it.
4-6. Looks like Spec is wanting to take this game after having given Matt so many in the first set.
Yup. Game point 4. Matt goes for an off goal, loses possession though on an off goal. Like he actually purposely missed on purpose just to get it back and give himself some more time, and instead Spec stole it, sets it up, right wall under, froze him up and nails it, giving Spec his first win of this set.
Game in Spec's favor this time. He, as predicted, definitely picking up his speed this time around, not even going for a lot of the slower setups this time. He's just going straight for the serve off of that right or left wall, and the banks are just killing Matt right now. Very good on Spec's part, but Matt is, of course, he claimed that he's going to be playing very calm and collected, but now I'm wondering if he needs to start to pick up the pace a little bit here, as Spec himself seems to be cranking up the intensity. And we are going to our 1-minute break here.
Oh. I don't really know what to say after that. Even the chat started to slow down because everyone was apparently on the edge of their seat.
Now we can see from Matt's play, he's very tense and he's trying as hard as he can to relax, but maybe relaxing isn't what he needs against Spec. Spec is so lightning fast, just like his headband would indicate.
We can actually take a look at the set up until now. So far, like the results, it's actually, I mean, you can see that the points here. So for the first set, you know, pretty demanding lead so far. But you can see that Spec's points from 4-3 to 7-6-5. So he is making a comeback, and then for him to win this game. So I think that you were right when you said that Spec is like the little engine that could, if you will. He starts to ramp up towards victory. So it'll be interesting to see how this next game goes here. Lots of people in the chat saying, sweep the leg.
Now we're going to get set up for our next match here as Nathan goes to set their puck. And a very interesting display from the both of them this time. Matt, usually somebody who tends to take the very early games a little bit more relaxed, get a feel for his opponent, and kind of set them up for failure, so to speak, as they get used to this very loosey-goosey sort of playstyle. But Matt is bringing his all-for-all games today. But now, under the pressure, one begins to wonder where his mind lies. Now, a lot of air hockey, believe it or not, comes down to the mind games, which is a big part of Matt's play style, where he sets these very, very slow drifts into these very fast power shots, regaining possession, not letting Spec have it back, which is a large downside of the mallet that Spec currently has right now. Oh, but a beautiful charge from Spec, and an unfortunate score against Matt.
It was off of Matt's offense, too. Matt hits it, it's deflected and hit right back. That's the beauty of that mallet that Spec is using, is that's what it's built for.
And even the smallest little tap can generate so much power with that thing, it almost bounces off effortlessly off of that mallet. So even a single charge could be just 100% devastating. Another right wall under from Spec.
That's something I love about Spec's black mallet, is that it's great for it's called the interference defense. So basically, ooh, right wall over.
Right wall, the weak side of both players once again.
You've seen it happen from Matt, where he hits the puck, it bounces back and bounces into his own goal without touching anything.
Doesn't
right?
regain possession.
And sometimes, even if you just barely touch the puck, it goes back into a different direction than the player was expecting and scores. And that's called the interference defense, where you don't need to steal the puck to get a score, just barely touch it. Beautiful cross from Spec. It's now up 3-1.
Spec not once going back to his white mallet here. He's sticking with the black mallet right now, something that he's very, very familiar with. Definitely putting the pressure on.
Well, you see the headband and the black mallet? That means he's playing to win now. He was playing to try out his new white mallet, and he thought he could win that way. And now he's getting very, very serious.
Very dashing, very intimidating silhouette, of course. And yet, has this face that almost never moves. A very calm and collected player.
Yep.
Even under pressure.
See, Matt will normally tell jokes while he's playing to get the other player off kilter.
I've seen it when you two play, yes.
Yeah. And so the trick is to not let him get in your head at all, because he loves to tell a good old-fashioned joke and then at the last second score a goal. So
yeah, if there was anybody to learn air hockey from, I think it would be Matt, though. He just makes the learning process so fun, but unfortunate forced error.
Yeah. You know, we have we've saw in the last game of the other set it was 0-4 in Matt's favor. And he ended up closing that up, but just barely. And now we're seeing almost the exact opposite with Spec up 4-1. Right down the center again, it's easily blocked.
That being said, even easily blocked.
Down the center
scored
again.
On himself again.
You can't shoot down the center, because this is what's going to happen. Players normally block that, so you can see where he's shooting here. It's not on the side, it's right down the middle. And he suffers the consequences of that.
Scored on himself today.
That's the downside of that mallet for sure. Oh! Does it twice!
Spec wanting to go for one of those very ruthless opening serves and ends up scoring on himself. That is the one downside of that mallet, that no matter how much you block or no matter how many times you hit, the puck can be extremely unpredictable if it just so easily bounces off of material like that.
To be fair, he's got a lot of points to play with, though.
Exactly. He has a lot of room to be making these sort of mistakes, of course. That being said, it shouldn't have let him get overconfident with it. But he knows that he has the game, and he knows that he has the points. Game point in
That's
Spec's
the new
favor.
one that we've been working on here. It's that from that drift forehand, and it's just, least expected. Beautiful.
Good repossession. Very risky move, though.
Matt sets it up. Is he going to come out of this deficit of being 4?
Oh,
no, he does not.
Another game taken by Spec.
Forehand. Spec with the flex. You can see here Matt goes for it, and Spec pulls it back out and immediately shoots it from a forehand position. Normally, all of the shots that are done are backhand.
Forehands are very scary because they look so casual, like you're about to just continue your setup, but they can be just so devastating.
They're very hard to aim, so they normally say that like any new player shouldn't be using them. A lot of brand new players use them all the time. They say not to until way later. And even at the highest pro levels, players very rarely use a forehand. I would say 1 every 2 games, maybe 1 every 3 games, whereas compared to all the shots are done with backhand shots.
Now, watching over this most recent game, of course, Spec's been kind of pulling out all the stops. He's stopped a lot of these very, very slow methodical setups, and he's just been going for these just bullet-like serves, catching Matt completely off guard versus the very, very slow play that they were seeing earlier. A lot of power in the shots from both of these players, but these right-hand banks seeming to kill like a lot of these attempts at defense. We saw some unfortunate scoring against themselves earlier, but you know, that is both the power and the downside to the mallet, is that such easy, simple movements can allow for so much power with Spec's current mallet, while Matt's is definitely got a lot of power behind it, but it's a lot more balanced. It doesn't have that same kind of benefit, but it could also be used as a detriment against Spec. Alright, both of our competitors getting ready to set up. Once again, Matt with the set lead right now, but Spec taking a moment just to maintain his momentum back towards the center. Both of them relaxing a little bit with the goofy...
Game starts on my release.
Oh, back in Matt's possession, as we've been seeing most of the game so far. Winding up like a cobra. Matt sets up for these very pressure-heavy shots, never really going for anything too terribly fast from the setup. He likes his very slow drifts, his very intense approach, while as opposed to Spec, who can sometimes just fire off like a bullet, like that, for example. You know,
Beautiful,
not nearly
right
as long
under.
as the setup, but equally as much power.
We're seeing that Matt has had almost every game the first possession, but Spec's coming back into his normal gameplay. So, you know,
Beautiful block.
Great stop, especially with that mallet. Mallets are a lot like instruments, right? And if you play different guitars, every time you pick up a different guitar, you're gonna play a different song on it. Beautiful cross. And so, you know, you notice that there's a different gameplay when he switched it back up. And so, he's really coming back into his normal game style, which is Spec's normal combo is a right wall under and a cut combo, which is one of like it's
Very
a perfect
classic.
staple. Yeah, it's a classic combo, and it works exceptionally good against Matt because Matt does not. Oh no, Matt does not block the cut nearly as much as he blocks the cross. And so that's the cross right there, and
Repossession on
he
that
blocks
side.
it. Matt sets up, goes for an off goal. Goes for the right wall over. This time it's not only blocked, but it's stolen.
Yeah, attempted to go for that setup by making Spec's guard towards the right-hand side and going for that right wall over as he had been, but Spec is ready for it this time. He needs to switch up his game plan a little bit.
I think that Spec is done with letting the right wall overs get in on him, so he's now sacrificing other shots just to block those.
Very quick to play.
Oh no.
Unfortunate.
See the double tap on the or on the goal. You can see Spec's double tap on his own goal, and that's a kind of way to just say, "Hey, I'm sorry that happened."
Yeah, a sportsmanship move for sure.
These guys are pretty good friends, to be honest.
And not bad people to be friends with. They're both very upstanding, despite their very competitive nature.
Right.
Matt is not only very friendly, but Spec is an excellent teacher as well.
You know, I should have grabbed a picture to show the fans, but for Worlds,
Goes for the fake out, but
beautiful
Spec
stolen.
steals possession of the puck.
For Worlds, these two made up their team called Potato Power, right? And they had, I believe it was Brooke, who basically made a photo of them both as potatoes. So you had like Spec with his like spiky black hair, and you have Matt with his like red shirt kind of thing as potatoes, and they were both like putting their fingers together to the side, you know, as sort of like, you know, as
Dragon Ball fusion.
Yeah, exactly, as a
Oh,
fusion.
beautiful straight from Matt.
That was awesome. And so it was really fun because we got a picture of them at Worlds doing the same motion as their shirts were showing. It was fantastic. So these guys are just so fun to play with.
Ooh, retaining possession on Matt's side. Goes for a fake out. Spec looking a little twitchy, but he doesn't want to fall for that one again.
Matt almost running the shot clock there. They have 7 seconds per side to shoot it.
Oh, wonderful straight from Spec again. Once again, that cross side looking a little bit weak on Matt's part.
Matt 3 points down.
Oh,
Nope.
right wall over once again.
Beautiful shot. You could see. Oh, then
buddy.
he shoots it immediately back. Matt is once again in the doghouse. That's what they call it, being 3 points below. Goes for the cut.
Loses
It's
possession.
taken back. Spec keeps possession somehow.
A good chase on this one.
It goes. Oh, unforced Aries. Now game point. This could be Spec's third game in a row won.
We can see Matt getting a little bit dejected here for his lack of performance here. Looking to hopefully see a bit of intensity in his brow once more.
Sets it up. Goes for the fake out.
Spec's not looking to achieve it. Maintaining possession. Oh, another beautiful right wall shot again.
That's like his signature shot, and Spec is now apparently opening up that shot again to let Matt get that through.
Seen excellent results from the right wall banks. Not only is Matt quite good at hitting the overs, but has been mixing them up with the unders every now and then too.
There it is, final shot, right wall under from Spec. That's his signature shot, is a cut right wall under. So it looks like he's gonna shoot it straight instead. Goes for that under on there. That now puts Spec in a pretty demanding lead of 3-0 this set. I'm seeing the chat go almost dead, and so I can see a lot of people are on edge watching this, but remember guys, Matt and Spec are both able to see the chat, so fill it up. Give them some love in there. You know, we cheering on both sides is always appreciated. Any questions you guys want to throw out there? If you're wondering about certain rules, throw them in there. I'd love to explain some rules to you. So now we're going to be going into Game 4, which is a possible set game for Spec. This is a pretty big uphill battle for Matt. One thing we've seen from Matt in the past, and he's explained, is that, you know, he has only so much energy that he's able to pour into a game. And so sometimes as the games draw out, you can see his energy level crashing. He does this at Worlds where he'll start really strong and then he starts to, lessen his energy. And so right now, basically, you're seeing that already. His stamina has gone down a bit. Spec has adjusted. So the question now is, how is Matt going to adjust to meet that?
Now, that being said, of course, no matter who you are, an uphill battle like that is a very hard thing to overcome as far as like the mental game is concerned. But from what we've seen, from both of these competitors, that an uphill game doesn't seem to necessarily be a deterrent, even if both of them might see a little bit of disappointment in themselves for, messing certain things up or giving each other possession. Both of them are still excellent competitors all the same, putting up results with a lot of the right-hand banks. Now it looks like both players are getting ready to set up once more. Matt, having taken a moment to collect himself, you can see he's still quite enthusiastic about the match. Very jovial person, hard to keep down very long. And it really also helps that both of these competitors are such good friends too. They've seen so much of each other, and this level of adjustment to each other's style of play is only to be expected of somebody who's not only played together, but played against each other so often. But for the first time, it looks like we're seeing possession on Spec's side. Matt failing the chase, but Spec able to maintain the possession.
It's kind of a rare one, because normally Spec, Matt's been winning on the first possession.
Tries to go for that right wall bank once again, but can't quite find purchase in what has been killing Spec so far. But regains possession, and this is where Matt shines the most.
It's true. When Matt's up against the gun like this is when he does the best. It's when he's winning that he does the worst. Like you saw that. He won the first set. Ooh, beautiful double. He won the first set, and you could tell that his demeanor went to more casual. So I've seen this happen to a lot of players, right? So let's say Matt was at 10. He was giving 10, right, out of 10 that first game. Well, he wins. So now he drops it down a bit. He drops it down to like 7, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe Spec was giving it like 8, and now he's at 10. So now Matt is losing this, and I see this happen so much. And so the question is he going to be able to adjust before the set's over? I'm kind of afraid not. I will say, I told you so. Oh. That's what Spec does. Man, sometimes we say don't play with your food, and that's what Spec likes to do. Oh no! He scores on himself. Say it.
And I'd like to take a moment to say I told you so.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bridget in the chat, absolutely correct though. One of my favorite matchups to watch in the Idaho area by far, between you and Matt and Spec, probably my 2 favorite matchups to watch right now. Just not only to having 2 completely degrees of play from all 3 new competitors, but these 2 just have so much on-table chemistry.
It's true.
Every time they both wind up for a shot, I find myself getting so quiet as I get so wrapped up in the tension that you can feel in the middle of the table.
It's really true. It's hard to remind myself to
Keep talking,
To
you
keep
know?
talking. You know, I've been told all my life I talk too much, and this is the one time that
We're so far away from the
Sometimes
table, and yet
rendered
somehow I
speechless.
feel like I'm distracted.
Right.
Oh, beautiful right
right
bank.
wall under from Matt. The fantastic shot. He doesn't usually do those. In fact, he
Yeah.
does overs so much you can almost sacrifice everything else to block the overs, and that's what Spec does. You can
That
see
right
it.
wall, once again, his strength is he hits that iconic right wall over,
Man, and he's up 4-1.
regaining possession. Matt is bringing everything to the table. He lost his 3 games and says, I'm done.
Well, here's the question, and I've seen him do this as well. Is he going to win this game, get smug, just smug enough to lose the 4th game? Or
I don't know. We haven't seen that casual play in the first set that we often see from Matt. It looks like he is quite serious, but it's hard to not get a little bit cocky when you're playing against your world's partner, you know?
It's true. And I will say that that's what makes this game so fun.
Oh, beautiful shot.
Forehand left wall over. That is a very rare shot.
Now, that being said, you might not see it in his expression a lot, but Spec is somebody who tends to get quite cocky as well. Even if he doesn't show it in his face, it shows in his play.
He really does. The thing is that he likes to. He's able to back it up. When he gets cocky, it's like that's he earns it. Whereas Matt, he likes to get smug, but then he relaxes. I think that's the difference. Is that when Spec gets cocky, he doesn't relax. It's the opposite.
You could tell in both of their setups how they're feeling too.
We need to get Matt a headband.
That's the power
You know
right
what?
there.
This it's over. So it goes
Looks
to
like it
it goes to
passes
Spec.
possession.
Yeah.
Good sportsmanship. Good recognition from both players too.
Just letting all of our fans remember that we are still always up for a good sponsor. We have a sponsor, Ruth Kamichek, for this game here, and this she's one of our main sponsors right now with the real estate. But you could also sponsor Matt for a headband. Right wall under.
Yet again, proving to be Matt's strength. He's good at switching up those overs and unders. Has Spec so conditioned to see those overs, but Spec says,
wall
"Nah,
under.
I got you too, buddy."
Spec's got that lightning headband. I think that Matt needs a flame one, I'm assuming.
Maybe we can get him a couple of those, those sweatbands for the wrists, but
Yeah.
with little flames on them.
Yeah. That'd be good. Spec right now 2 points under. He needs 4 points to close out this entire set. All Spec needs is 4 points. Matt only 2 points away, and he could hopefully prolong this set.
Maintaining possession. One of the major weaknesses of Spec's current mallet is that it's very, very difficult to dampen the shots.
Matt should not have rushed that. He just basically handed it right to Spec.
Spec maintaining control with an excellent chase on the right wall. Ooh.
That's one of the first forehands that hasn't worked for Spec. That was a beautiful forehand attempt, but it was blocked. It was right down the middle. Spec goes for another forehand left wall. It's blocked.
Now we're seeing
another
a
forehand.
lot less playing with his food from Spec here now that he has the point deficit. But he has a free game deficit.
Right wall over. That's one of the few that you've seen from Spec. That's Matt's shot, and now Spec's feeding it to him.
That being said, the right wall over seems to be the Spec killer so far.
Left wall over. It goes to Spec. No, I guess he moved forward, so I guess it doesn't go to him.
Neither of them seem to have a complaint, so I'm trusting
You
the men
can
at the table.
hear Spec's reaction, which means that he's like really wound up. Oh, no!
buddy.
Oh, slow motion, no, because that's the worst when it hits and just slowly goes in and there's nothing you can do about it. He just didn't hit it with enough force to keep it from going in. Oh, no.
Matt putting a bunch of power into these shots, knowing full well that it's very difficult to dampen with that black mallet. Takes another right wall over.
Matt's fan base is shaming him. They're saying shame from letting it go in slowly.
I don't think the shame is reaching him, though, as he keeps going for these incredibly powerful shots, still maintaining the point lead, but Spec says, I'm going to be taking this back if you don't mind.
That cut is the one that has gotten Matt so much. It's that cut right wall under combo. There it is again. Matt taking his time.
Very, very tense set
He's
match
going to call
here.
a timeout. I bet you. He's going to do it. I know Matt. Oh, he uses 10 seconds. Every player has one timeout per game. And so this is really the only last chance to use it, frankly, but it's the best time to use it. Matt has won so many 6 out of 6 battles, especially after last week. Last week he won 5 out of 6 of the 6 out of 6 battles.
Now, given the intensity between these two, I'm surprised that we're not seeing more breaks from them, but they're just so engaged in what's going on in front of them. Matt needs to break away from it for just a second. He's getting very cerebral about it, playing his mind game setups.
He sets it up, goes for the cross. It's deflected. Hope your heart's racing as fast as mine is because I don't want to be the only one. Oh, he loses possession. Spec takes it back, sets it up.
No,
I bet it's gonna be the right well under. It's gonna be the right well under. Bet you anything. Here it comes.
I guess it's the cross.
It's gonna be a cut or right well under, but it's gonna be right well under. There it is, right well under. It's missed. Now it's the cut. Oh, he goes for the cross. It's deflected. It's stolen possession. This is Matt's chance to win this game. Spec is at set point. All Spec needs is one more point to close this out. Matt goes for the right one. It loses possession. This is Spec's chance to win this entire set. He goes for a left off goal. Gets it back. Goes for the forehand. Oh no, he's gonna do a forehand. Oh. There it is, the forehand! And I mean, that was one of Matt's weaknesses. So Spec went back to an old faithful. Normally that shot is sort of a trick shot that you do once in a great while, but it's what works for him. Look at that. He's pretty excited about this game.
Now that's as close to a pop-off as we often see Spec get.
You can even see in the background, you see how there's that 7-6 in the background. And that's a pretty famous piece of the air hockey world and lore, is the fact that that's the ultimate score. It means that it was 6-6, and everyone's hearts were racing, and you know it's the highest adrenaline a score can be. There's actually I don't know, over 20 different members of the higher ranking like air hockey world, like the top 20, top 30, that have a 7-6 tattoo on their arms, and they're very, very proud of it because it's just the ultimate score. Nobody wants to see a 7-0, they want to see a 7-6.
Now that could be said about pretty much any sport, but air hockey in particular. As you heard towards the end of the match, as both players started vocalizing a lot of their, not only their blocks, but a lot of their attacks as well. You know, both of them are getting very involved in what's there on the table. Now, with a set in both players' favor right now, we're kind of back to square one. Nobody having particular favor over the other, no room or breath to be given towards somebody who's going to get cocky or casual.
It's true. It means that we only have one set left because it's best 2 out of 3 sets, which means whoever wins this next set takes it all. I'll see you out there on the couch. And this is the time again, fans. This is the time. Throw your questions out there. We'd love to ask them live. It's a rare when you get to talk to a player and ask them questions in any other sport. So let's take advantage of that. Go ahead and ask them some questions. Throw in some fun stuff on there, and we'll see you in just a second. Well. You know, it was sort of like what we had thought, where Spec was experimenting with a mallet, then he goes back to his old faithful one, throws on the headband, goes Super Saiyan. We thought you had it you've won so many 6-7 games, so I thought you had that one on there. How are you feeling about that set?
I just was a little bit more muted than his aggressive stance warranted, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to pick it up a little bit.
You know, I think that the ultimate moment, it hurt everybody watching. I don't know if you saw the chat blow up when that happened, but that shot where you blocked it, but you didn't put enough into it, and it slowly went in. It was just all the way.
You didn't see it, but I almost snapped the puck in half when I was pulling it out.
We need to keep extra pucks just so you can do that. You know, people like break guitars on stage just for show. We should have one you can be like, Play-Doh, and just break it. I also don't know if that's even... I want to see someone be able to break these. This would be hard to break. They're made out of like glass. They're like almost fiberglass at this point. They're made of a Lexan, which is a plastic glass
I had
hybrid.
the leverage.
I've got some bad ones you can try. Do you
I
want
was
to try to
gonna
break
make
a puck?
I was gonna make a try of it.
Okay, after the game. I don't want to
Probably
jack up your hand.
bend your goal trying.
Yeah, there you go. Spec, there's been some theories that the headband is your source of power. What's your thoughts on that?
I can only use it once a week.
Do you have to charge
It takes 3 years out of my life to use it, so here I am.
It takes 3 years out of your life. Whenever I put on the headband, everyone always says it like, "Oh shoot, here it comes." I'm like, it's not to give me any extra power. It's to to keep the sweat from covering the table. And I know that you always say whenever I wear it, you say it's
you have a themed headband that says blessed, so you're being blessed by your headband.
Yeah, well, you always tell me, I rewatch my games, and you always say, "Oh no, it's because he has too much blood going to his head that I have to like compress it to keep the blood from going to my head." Yeah, so I will say now you're nonchalant. How do you think this next game's gonna go? Matt's serious. You're nonchalant. This next set, you've got a lot of people watching right now, and I will say that the majority of them are rooting for the underdog, which is Matt in this case. So, Spec, what do you say about that?
Well, what you see is what you're gonna get.
And he's single, ladies.
Oh no, Matt's playing good. I don't think he adjusted to my, very sudden stance change in this set. So, who knows? It's just the better player is the one who adjusts better.
It's true. I mean, you did a very good adjustment. I've noticed that your shots were very different. Instead of doing the slow, methodical game, a few times in the first set you were able to freeze them up pretty well. In this game, you just went straight for Juggernaut style. You had the Black Mallet, which is not very good defensively, so you didn't do any defense. You just went for a double, triple, quadruple, and you got him on it. Birthday Brooks says, Matt, you should start grunting like the pro tennis players to put Spec off. It's actually close. I don't know if anybody could hear it, but Spec, you do that sometimes. Only on your defense, and I see that, and that's how I know when I've gotten you in your head, right? Where it's like really close, I do a shot, and you're like, ugh! Right? Like, and I know that if you start grunting, like, okay, he's up tight, that means he's gonna move a little bit less quick because you're putting a lot of force into your block, which means I could do a really fast shot and it's gonna freeze you up. That's a hint to Matt. So if you hear him grunting, that means
I hear him breathing very loudly.
Fake out, right while under.
Yeah,
You
we
also
saw it a
breathe
lot near
pretty
the end of that
loud.
set,
It's
too.
a very quiet room in here. We're gonna hear each other breathe.
Yeah. We got some love for Spec in the chat from Matt's fans. So apparently they switched sides because you lost that set. They just want to choose.
They changed their bets.
They're real flimsy. These guys. No, they want to throw some love both ways. Something that I noticed about that game was that.
Ooh, I want names.
I've noticed that in the first set, Matt, you had Spec. I don't know how many times you did a right wall over. I should have been keeping track, and it's my fault for not. However, that was like the number one shot. You had so many of those. And this set, Spec blocked a ton of those shots, and then you started going with the under. And Spec started to sacrifice everything else to block those. And then Spec started getting you with a cut, right wall under combo, and then he even opened up the forehand cross on you. I guess my question at this point is, what's your plans to adjust? Do you have anybody in your corner that you're able to reach out to? Who's your coach in this case?
Nathan Buss, the ref.
I know I can't.
So I'm glad he's reffing today.
I can't coach. That's one of the rules.
Damn you, Anthony.
Yeah, Mizuki can coach you though. What do you think, Mizuki? What should Matt do from?
Well, I'd like to see more shots of the week of that left wall. That would be pretty interesting.
More shots of the week.
I think he's expecting it because he knows I want to run up my score.
That being said, though, one thing that I did notice is that Spec, you did not go for the white mallet at all for this set. Is that just because you're a little bit more used to the black mallet, or do you think it's just because you've gotten
He
the
doesn't want to
information?
lose.
Do you think that might also be playing a part into?
I needed more time in my match, so this was the way to get more time.
We heard Pearl Hammer scream out halfway through. It was like, "Why have you forsaken me?" It was really sad. We laughed, but
I was gonna think about trying to grab it in a timeout.
You should have named me Stay Puft.
what you need to do next, once we get the materials down pat, then you just need to get them all in the same color so nobody has any idea clone mallets.
I could have got a white
that only you know.
mallet for that black one, so no one could really tell.
That's what I'm saying, and then you just have it written on the inside. So then in the middle of the game, you're like, "This is
The only
one."
difference is that weighs a lot more.
Except I will say the sound would give it away instantly.
Yeah.
One shot and the sound will give it away. All right, guys. Well, let me see if there's any more questions in the chat. Fans, now's your chance to throw out some questions, throw out some
Can't
love.
see that far away on the big TV.
He's got a little device.
I need one of those opera glasses. The
Oh, like the little.
yeah, the binoculars on a stick, right? The like appetizer binoculars. I want those to be able to see from afar.
Yeah, the closest thing we have in the modern era. You can get one of the those Facebook Meta goggles that just haven't seen.
Oh, the old school like pirate.
I think Bridget
telescopes.
belongs
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, like, hey!
I think Bridget asked me what my 3 favorite spices are.
3 favorite spices? Alright. Let's hear it.
Salt, pepper, and lemon pepper.
So is that your third mallet's gonna be yellow? Is that what this was about? Was a mallet the whole time?
No, the next mallet's gonna be a different color. I would say it's a more cayenne pepper.
Cayenne. Okay.
Thing.
Next time we can go for like a cumin, you know?
Cumin.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll let you guys bounce out of here and go get ready for your next set. And Spec, if you wouldn't mind throwing up our sponsor page, that would be really awesome. And I would like to take a second to talk about our just amazing sponsor, Ruth Kamichek. With she goes by Ruthless is
Yeah,
what
I
she
noticed
goes
that
by,
when I
which is
first started watching the
fantastic.
streams. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a little bit clever. I'm not gonna lie.
It's fun because we never thought of it at all for our replays, and then she's like, "Hey, I'll sponsor you guys," and we're like, "Okay, so what's your like hashtag?" And she goes, "Oh, Ruthless Real Estate," and so it's kind of fun because we can now say it's a Ruthless Replay, but we didn't make that up. That was all in her name
That
way
just writes
beforehand.
itself,
It really does. She's amazing. Her phone number 208-965-3570. If you happen to be in the Gem State area here in Idaho. She is the absolute best. This comes very close to heart. I've said the story quite a few times, and I'll keep saying it. Town burned down to the ground. A lot of us were displaced and had to find homes very, very quickly. We didn't even. So the fire happened on November 8th, and
2018, right?
yeah, 2018, and we had the keys to this house on December 15th. Okay, so 1 month and a few days. But we didn't go directly to Idaho and ask her that day or anything. It was like a few weeks of unknown. It was actually 3 days before we even knew our house was gone because it was such a big fire and it spread so fast. And so we didn't even know our house was gone for a few days. Then we checked out some other areas. We went up north. We checked out Redding. We checked out some chunks in Oregon. And then we checked out a house in Idaho where we stayed with a friend in Idaho. And at that time, she set up, because I messaged her right before getting to Idaho, so we basically only gave her a week and a half or 2 weeks, and in a 2-week time frame, we got the keys to this house. And not just that, like I've mentioned before, she even got the keys the night before and surprised us by like coming in and setting up like a tub of like amenities for the house. She got us a Christmas tree, which is so weird to say.
No, that's homely.
It was December 15th, and there was no way that we were going to get a tree. So we had already kind of written it off. We're not going to get a tree, kids. Sorry. Obviously, it's the last of our worries. It's the lowest on the priority list. We only have a few days before Christmas. Anyway, we have nothing left. We only had what we had in our vehicle. It was a very easy move. I will suggest that. If you ever want an easy move, just take whatever's in your car and call the rest of it good. But we walk in the door, and there's a Christmas tree, a real Christmas tree. It wasn't even like a fake one that she just got. No, she like got a real one. They decorated it. It had a bucket of like all the things that you would need to start a home, some toilet paper and paper towels and cleaning supplies, because she really cared about us a lot, and she fought for us, and it was really awesome having her in our corner to be able to fight for us. She had so many great ideas about how to talk to the seller of the house and to share our story with them, and so she just was absolutely amazing. So once again, a huge shout out to Ruth for sponsoring us. And I think we're ready to pop into our next game, so I'm pretty excited. I don't know what to expect. I already expected last game, Spec to win.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot more experimental play in the first set, but it looks like Spec decided that he wanted to go back to his roots for the second set. We have the scores up for that right now, so you guys can take a look. That being said, you know, it's completely unpredictable from here. We obviously know that there's so much at stake here, not only the Idaho rank, but the world rank. It's such a huge jump for Matt, and especially after losing, as Matt did before, he doesn't want to give that opportunity up. This is a chance of lifetime. Now, that being said, Spec not only has his pride on the line, but he has his rank on the line, too. Being such a top-level player in the region that Spec is, you know, outside of the Oregon player, who's from outside of the state, and then you at number 1, that's such a big deal, you know?
It really is. It really is. I mean, and you saw the scores. Matt only won, or Spec only won 1 game in the first set. In the second set, Matt didn't win any games. It is that close. They are only a 1 game difference right now. And so I would love just to throw my bet in. I don't know what's going to happen. It really depends if Matt is able to adjust, and it depends if Spec keeps his headband on. That's really the big question.
You know, the lightning bolt, it's the source of his strength. He didn't have it in the first set, and as we saw, you know, it brought him everything. But, you know, for all we know, Matt has some secret weapon that we have yet to see ourselves.
I'm hoping to see it. All right, we'll see you guys on the flip side. We'll see you in the next game here. All right, guys.
I'm not surprised.
It's crazy. When we first met, I had the really, really long hair. All right, and we are back in the spectators booth. So we are getting ready for another very high intensity set. Spec almost taking that one in a very, very clean sweep. A little bit of competition. Matt putting up a bit of a display for us right now. Like the Phoenix, he's expecting to come back from this. You know, after getting kicked down so very, very hard in that last one, we can see that, you know, Matt is not at all deterred. Jerry Bentley in the chat. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You remember when Spec spent time at your house perfecting his skill? All right. Now, Spec going back to the new Teflon white mallet. Now that he bought himself a bit more time to experiment by taking a match or a set of his own. Whoa. Now, another beginning of a game where Spec actually takes the first position of the puck, as we haven't been seeing for most of the... Oh, scoring on himself! An unfortunate start. Going back to the Teflon, he is lacking a lot of the same power that he did with the Black Mallet before. Now, Matt, once again, going back to his very methodical sort of play. Going off of the left wall there, going for the, you know, the shot of the week. I can appreciate that. He's trying something new at the very least versus the last match that he had before, but it looks like Spec is also taking a little bit of time to experiment, taking a straight.
We've got Matt's wife popping into chat right now, and she said that she remembered at one time when Spec went to their house and was perfecting his skills at their house because Matt has a table at his house. Ooh, that looked painful. Spec says, "Are you okay?" Matt says, "It hit me in the stomach." Of course I'm okay. But then Matt's wife says, "Husband, get to it," and he is submissive and complying right now.
Well, it's definitely showing for something. Despite him going back to his methodical sort of play, he's going for a lot of different shots at the very beginning of the shot, but he goes right back to his classic right wall over, still getting Spec. Spec taking a bit of time to experiment with the white mallet again now that he took a set off of Matt. As we're seeing, Spec is starting to get used to the not only the dampening of the new material, but also the weight of it, as he's getting a lot more power back into his shots, which we didn't see in the very first set. Tries to go for the right wall bank again, but that once again, that mallet is just exceptional in defense, able to catch it and steal it away so easily.
Oh no, lost a mallet. You know, it's the one time that a player can cover up their goal. So let's just say I were playing against you and I just covered my goal with my arm and the puck hit my arm. That would count as goaltending and the player would get a free shot. But if you let go of your mallet and the puck goes into your goal, it will count against you.
Is that so?
Yeah, exactly. So if you let go of your mallet and then you cover up your goal and it hits your arm, then it's allowed. Because it really depends on when the ref calls it out of play. So let's say you lose your mallet and it's a while, then the puck goes in, it's not going to count because the ref's going to call that out of play. But if in the same shot, let's say you hit it really hard, it bounces right into your goal, and you let go of your mallet, it doesn't matter. It's almost like in football where they can negate the penalty. They can say, no, I'd rather take the goal than have the penalty. That touches Spec hand there. You can see it on this replay. You'll see that it bounced back. Oh, no.
Looks
3-3.
like Spec must have took a shot of lemon pepper, his third favorite spice, as we saw earlier. The secret behind him adapting to this new mallet.
lemon
And I'm
pepper.
actually surprised we aren't seeing the mallet turn a little bit yellow here.
I don't know if lemon pepper can be considered a spice.
You know, I think it was a bit of a cheat answer, but I wasn't going to say anything
It had
at the time.
pepper in it, didn't it? He was like salt and pepper and lemon pepper and also garlic salt. He got the left wall. Matt is ahead now. Only 1 point. I mean, it doesn't really get as closer than this. Spec only has one more game than Matt does.
No, that was a left wall over, so not our shot of the week. But Matt going for a couple of new things here, but he's leaving himself open to the cut, unfortunately. A very devastating shot that Spec's been taking against him all game.
Oh, the cross! And I mean, you can hear it. You can hear Spec's reaction. Oh
baby.
no, it's shot immediately back.
Spec does not want to let Matt take a bit of a lead here. He wants to keep those points as close as possible, and honestly, that's what we're all here for. Oh, but Matt said no thank you.
It is now game point to 5. This game has just been back and forth. Oh, right wall over.
And we are back to 6-6.
Oh, and Spec gets possession. I calls a timeout. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
They know what's at stake here. Big smiles from both contenders here, though.
This is what Matt normally does. I bet you anything that Matt's gonna call a timeout after this timeout. Here we go. Watch it. Watch it. Oh no, he didn't do it. He'd have to do it while he'd have possession. Yeah, he did it. He did it. Oh yeah, I called it. Called it. Where's that? There it is. Timeout. That's twice now.
Yeah, no, this is a very unique sort of chemistry that you only see at like very local play. This is something that you very rarely see at a world's level where you're encountering player and player that you've never actually met before. But these two have developed such a relationship, not only through playing against each other but playing together, that they are able to just joke around like this. And nothing that either player do they consider unfair or cheating or unnecessary. You know, both very Spec looking a little bit twitchy in his moment of experimentation.
Oh no, Matt,
but
let's
losing
go possession. This is Spec's chance to win this game.
But Spec lacking a lot of that power that he wants from the black mallet.
Matt needs to set this up. He needs to take his time. Okay, he's taking his time. He's setting it up. Almost does it again.
You could hear the sigh of exasperation
Goes
from
for the
both
cross.
competitors.
Gets possession back with
giving
the forehand. So,
No, if that was against the black mallet, that would have bounced right back off into
forehand for the win again. Oh man, it's that 6-7. That's what that is. You know,
you can see the tension in Matt's face as this happens, and then just the exasperation.
Spec throws up arms. Matt ruffles his eyebrows.
It's okay. That's only one game out of the many that could be taken in this set. But both players are taking a bit of an opportunity to try something new. Spec going back to the white mallet, and then we're seeing a lot more left side banks from Matt. But as we saw with the left under, it worked out pretty well that one time. But he nailed a couple of those his rights has been getting Spec most of the game so far. But Spec, ruthless as ever, not letting Matt maintain any point of comfort for very long. You know, the score remaining very close. There wasn't even a lot of catching up to do. Once 1 point was taken, one was given. But we got.
I mean, Spec's only 3 games away now from closing out this challenge match and having bragging rights for the next few weeks. You know, it's what I have to. It's a burden I have to carry, is listening to, you know, Spec lord it over Matt, and Matt just sit there saying, "Well, if I only had a few more points." So I, there it is, and so I, you know, I want Matt to win this one just so I don't have to hear, you know, the complaints afterwards. That's it.
Now this is a 2 out of 3 set, not a 3 out of 5, correct?
This is a 2 out of 3. So if Spec gets 3 more games, this challenge match is over. If Matt gets 4 games, this challenge match is over. No matter what, at the end of this set, there will be a winner of this challenge match.
Now, that being said, though, I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to see a lot of what we just saw with a lot of these back and forths. Not a lot of room to breathe with a lot of the competitors. Never being much more than a 2-point difference between the two. It looks like the two are going to try to maintain neck and neck as much as possible, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Spec go back to the black mallet here after a match that close. But if he's going to take the opportunity, now that he has the game lead, I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually stick with the white mallet as well. Give it a little bit more of a trial run because it worked out for him so far.
Spec, you're going to go back to the black mallet?
We didn't know. He's taking a little bit more time with
he's conserving
Stay Puft.
his energy.
Stay puft.
All right, we're staying with the white mallet this time around. Spec wanting to show off the prowess of the defensive capabilities of this mallet this time.
Perfect record of Matt is going to call a timeout. Perfect.
Now the competitor is joking, having known each other for very long. Even the ref knows, the little shenanigans with the timeout earlier. But back to being serious. Now Spec actually not going for the far back as he did before, but it doesn't matter because he's able to retake possession anyway. Matt taking a very, very neutral stance here. Oh, but he takes a point from leaning forward, a complete different stance change from Spec himself. But Matt with the possession, as we've seen, this is where Matt shines the most. Oh. Now it's very hard to play around a mallet that with such shock absorption.
Oh, Matt, that may have been over, but then it hits Spec. Oh man, I don't know if. Yeah, I don't think that was going to be an actual goaltending shot.
Well, we can see in the replay what happens here.
I don't think so.
We didn't catch it. That's fine.
I was bad. Shame on me. Bad llama. Sometimes I watch it too closely and forget to hit the button until it's too late.
Oh.
Bad llama.
Oh.
Matt goes for that right wall over. It's missed. He cannot slouch now, and I feel like that's what's going to happen is that he's going to start.
Now I have to feel a little bit bad for Matt here because playing against a mallet like that really must feel like you're bashing against a wall here. That thing just has so much stopping power to it.
Right?
That being said, he regains possession, so he can try as many times as he wants, so long as he can keep it up.
Goes for that left wall, left wall off goal.
I'm guessing right wall over.
Probably, I'm hoping. Yep, there
Whoa,
it is.
there
Right
it was,
wall
but he
over.
missed
There
it.
you go. Now you're getting it. Now you're getting. Oh, beautiful chase shot in transition from Spec.
Yeah.
You can see how it's moving forward, and he just barely touches it, and that's all it's needed. That's the interference defense.
Now, chat is correct. We can definitely tell that Matt is getting a little bit cerebral here, but we can't discredit that Spec himself is doing a lot of calculations as well, having to play with an entirely new material.
That's true.
He can't play with the same amount of power as he did before. If he wants to put in more oomph to his shots, he has to telegraph them a little bit more as well.
I mean, it does show that he's being a little more cocky, though. He's feeling like he's going to win this game, and so he's now switching to the white mallet, showing that he's going to, practice more with it. Beautiful shot, by the way.
Not only does he have the game right now, but he's up 3-0, so I definitely don't blame him for thinking so, but let's just see if he gets punished for it. And when he is punished for it, as I expect that he will be, like so.
Right wall under.
I wonder if we're going to see him go back to the black mallet. Oh!
Immediately returned. Spec has a commanding lead. If he wins this, it's the problem is that like right now,
Matt seeing a lot of methodical play from Spec with this new mallet. That's I don't think he was expecting something so immediate.
This may be
barely as much power.
This may be the tipping point. So if Spec wins this one, then Matt's going to be looking at. Oh no, there it is, 5-1. Matt's going to be looking at a massive uphill battle of trying not only to win 4 games in a row.
Oh, unfortunate.
Here comes that quick shot from Spec. He's been getting a lot of those across. A lot of players don't do that as much because it's not usually fruitful, but he's been getting a lot of those goal shots on Matt. Those serve shots.
They're a little bit less calculated, but with a lot less setup.
I mean, that's why they work. I've noticed that we call them garbage shots. If it hits a wall twice, if it hits a wall like 2 or 3 times, they call it jungle.
Beautiful straight from Matt.
Yeah, nice cross.
Matt
but
wanting to
the jungles usually work on Matt. They call it jungle shot or garbage shot where it like hits too many walls, and so maybe that's why it's Spec serves. They're doing so great. That right there, that's a garbage shot.
Gotcha, I see.
Yep. It was a terrible shot. It shouldn't have worked. It didn't work. He got punished for it. He should have done a garbage shot. At Worlds, I was... So my wife and I were against Spec and Matt. They were Potato Power versus the Struggle Bus. And I hit it, and it flew off of the table and landed in an actual dumpster. And it was like, oh, the real garbage shot. Like, it really happened. It was magical. Spec sets it up. He's ahead, 2 points.
Matt wanting to close that gap as soon as possible.
He's trying to freeze out Matt. He's trying still puck. We call this still puck, when the puck basically stops, and there it is. And you see how that worked? Because it's moving so slow, and it causes a person to almost flex too hard and not react fast enough. Because he's the tension, basically. Spec now 1 point away from winning the second game in a row in the last set.
Matt trying to limber up and take a shot, but Spec's mallet just absorbs so much of that shock.
Loses possession, Spec goes for the fake shot, or the pump fake. Loses possession, Matt, diamond drift, sets it up.
Even I'm getting tense, and I'm not even near the table
I was about
right
to
now.
say he was going to call a timeout. I'm glad I didn't, because I've been almost 100% on those.
Well, you got as much of a record to keep as these guys now, apparently.
I do. My reputation of knowing when Matt's going to call a timeout is precious to me. Oh, goes for an off speed. It was very slow.
You could see Matt shaking his head at losing possession there, but having regained it.
Sets up a shot.
Going for the barrier. Oh!
Spec sets up with a push and gets it with a push shot. You don't see those very often. Normally you break contact on somebody. He pushed it. You can see he's making contact. He keeps contact, then breaks contact, and then hits it. Very good. Awesome cut shot from Spec.
Now, Christopher Martin joining us in chat. Thank you for joining. Yeah, you joined at a very, very great moment. There's a lot of intensity between the two competitors today. A lot of tension kind of building between the two. But even these moments of exasperation or like this catharsis of either retaining or giving up control, both of them are laughing and smiling at the same time. Just having a good time despite how much is at stake between these two.
I'm fairly certain if we threw a poll in the chat right now, 100% of the viewers right now are rooting for Matt. Which I think is only fueling Spec's rage.
Now, does that make Matt the underdog, or does that make Spec the underdog for this competition?
As far as who's rooting, usually people root for the underdog, so I'd say it still makes Matt the underdog in this
case. Yeah, but if everybody's rooting for the underdog, how much of the underdog are they at that point?
Oh, I see what you're saying. If everyone's rooting for one, then
at
it
that
makes
point,
you just want to defy the fans, and you want to root for the other person just to say.
Well, let's not go that far. I wouldn't hate seeing Spec losing for once. I spend so much time at the arcade and watching him, dominate people, myself included. It wouldn't suck to see him lose for once, but it doesn't look like he's going to give me that satisfaction anytime soon.
I was at the arcade and I was cheering for one of the people he was playing against for $100, right?
Yeah.
And I was really cheering for them, but it really threw him off. And then it got to 6 points and he had like 4. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to make him lose. He's nervous watching, playing in front of me. And I'm about to lose him $100 because I'm like watching this game. And so I got quiet, and he actually got back from a 4-6 to winning it. And I'm like, oh, thank God! I almost made him lose $100.
Yeah, you must be so real happy that we're sitting in a separate booth right now.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we're diving in right now to Game 3. Spec only 2 games of winning from this challenge match. I'm seeing lots of cheering for Matt in the chat there. He's able to see that.
It's hard not to give both competitors some love, though. It's been just absolutely riveting the entire time.
Right. I mean, so one thing I asked him, I said, "Oh man, are you seeing the chat blow up for with love for you in there?" He said, "Yeah, but what I'm really hoping for is some advice." And so there's a lot of times that we have world champions that have won world championships in the chat, or they'll be on commentary and they'll be able to give advice. And so right now, that's what he's really hoping for, is some advice on how to beat Spec, because Spec has already adjusted, Matt hasn't adjusted quite yet.
Now, of course, that being said, Nathan is usually the one that tends to give Matt a lot of the advice that helps him through a lot of situations like this, but being the impartial judge that he is, can't grant him that sort of opportunity. So what we're seeing a lot right now is Matt improvising, or maybe not improvising as much as trying something new on his own terms, and oftentimes it actually ends up working out for him. So maybe Matt should have a little bit more confidence in himself. Maybe he doesn't need as much advice as he might be thinking. Maybe if he allows himself to stop being as cerebral and just go for different shots that he knows that he can pull off without thinking about it too hard. But it's difficult to say, when you're behind like this, no matter the sport that you are playing, no matter the game that you are playing, there is a mental game that comes from being behind. And that being said, it looks like Matt is letting it get to him a little bit, especially with Spec taking an opportunity to experiment and play around a little bit. But he does gain possession at the very beginning of this game, as he has been for most of it, not letting Spec actually get it this time. However, an unfortunate event for Spec.
Matt with once again that first possession too.
Now, that being said, a lot of people in the chat rooting for Matt right now are agreeing with me in that Matt needs to stop thinking as much, a very cerebral person as he is. He just needs to have a little bit more faith, I think. There's a lot of shots that he knows that he can pull off, but he thinks about them quite a lot before he sends them off.
It's really true. Matt really gets in his head. There was a game that I was playing, and I was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in my left hand, which I'm not capable of doing. It took way too much concentration. But what was really weird is that I started winning, which didn't make any sense to me. And it was because I was taking my mind off of the game, right? And you can kind of let your instincts take over. I've asked a lot of pro players, how much of the game is in your head versus in your arm? And they always, brand new players will say, it's all.
A beautiful left wall
That
bank
was
from
really
Matt.
good.
That was a left wall under, was it not?
It was.
That was a shot of the week.
It was a left wall under. Beautiful shot.
Another shot of the week going under Matt's belt. He wants to, boost his points a little bit here.
So, I ask a lot of players, like, what do you think it is? Is it more is it more strategy? What's in your head, or is it more in your arm? Which one is doing all of the work? And they, brand new players will say, it's all strategy, right? Oh no, we're seeing a lot of.
Oh, Spec tries to go for something immediate, gets punished for it as Matt gains control here.
But most of the players will tell you that it's in the arm. Basically, if you train your arm up, you're gonna win games.
Now, myself, I'm a bit of a fighting game player myself, and it's actually kind of unreal how much of a difference that there is. I thought there was a lot of overlap in sports like air hockey versus something like that, but believe it or not, when it comes to a physical activity like this, you have to lend credit to your brain about how much your brain remembers without you thinking about it.
Right.
Muscle memory is a very real deal, and there's a lot of shots that these competitors know that they can take, but sometimes they still think about it, even though...
It's so the way that you prove it the most is if you have a player that, let's say, gets an injury on the right hand and they suddenly switch left-handed, their gameplay is almost shot completely unless they've done a lot of practice.
Oh
no, another self-goal.
We've been seeing a lot of them this game. Taking an opportunity, he has the 10 seconds to set up, and he is going to use every single one.
Matt sets it up. He's not doing so hot this round.
Oh!
There it is, beautiful.
Off of the left wall again, a left
that's
wall over.
Yeah, exactly. Left wall over that time. Spec was blocking. You can see Spec's mallet goes to block the under, but he leaves the over wide open.
Brooke in the chat brings up a really good point. If you can drive home without thinking, you can play air hockey without thinking. Now, there is still a lot of mind games that go into air hockey, but you can't really be affected by mind games if you're not thinking very hard.
Right wall over. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. And
exactly.
It's the same thing when it comes to air hockey, where
wax on, wax off.
If you train up your arm, and I've seen players do this, so I do these training drills with these guys to train up their arm.
Oh my gosh.
Spec gets to set point right now, or not set point. I'm sorry, game point. Matt, Matt loses possession at a critical moment. Matt gets it back, goes for the under and gets it with a right wall over. It is now 6-6. Timeout call.
I'm not going to be surprised if Matt calls it after this too.
I expected Spec to call it, so I was going to wait. I thought it was going to be the double timeout.
Was that not Spec that called it?
No, that was Matt that called it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Spec has a much more evil villain timeout voice. And Matt's sort of like the puppy at the window wanting to play with the other dogs outside.
Now, that being said, it would be
voice.
such very, very good for the mental game if Matt can actually take this game off of Spec. The gap gets smaller if he does.
Can he bring up the score, or is it going to be 3-0?
We've been seeing a lot of beautiful experimental shots.
Oh, Spec calls the timeout. There it is. Did you hear it, though? Did you hear it? It was like timeout.
You're so right, though. Yeah, I wasn't paying a lot of attention at first, but now that I hear it.
The car pulls up, and the camera's low, and you just see the door open, the boots hit the ground. That's Spec. He's the evil villain that Gotham deserves. All right, here we go. This could mean everything. This 1 point right here. Deflected right wall. He sets it up. Goes for the cross and nails it. It is now 3-0 in the last set. Oh, you can just see that he got Matt to pull out of the way.
just that pop off from Spec and the deflation from Matt, you can tell that he's a little bit dejected. Matt hates when these matches are this close and he loses them, and honestly anybody would, you know.
It's true. I've always said I don't mind getting dominated, but if I lose when it's that close, it makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Like, it really does.
I'm not somebody that gets angry very often, but man, the disappointment that comes from it. Now that being said, you know, a lot of air hockey, in contrary to what we've been saying before, there is a lot of mental game when it comes to air hockey, even though it might not look at it, you know, it's a puck sliding across the table, how much mental game can actually be happening there, but you know, there is the not only the enthusiasm behind it, as we've seen a lot of Matt's best play is when he's really into what he's doing. And I feel like a lot of the gravity of the situation was taken off of the both of them when they scored on themselves a couple of times there. You know, allowed them to relax a little bit and realize, you know, something is a little bit silly despite, you know, everything that's been going on.
In our last set that we had some people do some math. We found out the distance between the center of the line and the goal, and with the amount of time it takes to get there, they were running some math on it. They were pulling some videos, and we found that it's roughly a fifth of a second from when it crosses that line till it gets to the goal that you have to react.
Yeah, and Matt himself says oftentimes that the older that he gets, the slower his reaction speed gets. But we're going to see when we get into the next match coming up here. Both competitors are starting to really, really feel it, especially Matt, who knows there's so much at stake here. And when Spec has a lead, Spec isn't necessarily somebody that gets cocky or in the same way that, you know, most competitors do. It's very hard to see on his face, but I'm not going to be surprised if we start to see in his play. Now, that being said, this is the all-important match game here in Spec's favor, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see him go back to the Black Mallet here. But, you know, for somebody like me, though, you know, I'm always an advocate for having fun in the things that you do, but we actually see Spec going back to the, the White Mallet here, knowing that he has the lead. He's not really that worried about taking the game, so I'm really hoping to see a lot more fun between the competitors today. You know, these are both not only good friends, but just absolutely spectacular opponents. Ooh, possession goes to Matt, and he manages to retain it after almost losing it there. Setting up on the edge of my seat
Once
here.
again, first possession goes to Matt. I don't think Matt realized until...
Oh, beautiful.
I don't know if Spec realized, actually. I said, hey, this is a challenge. This is a possible challenge game right here.
Oh, my goodness. Matt is
2-0.
wants to close this gap as soon as possible.
He has to. He's 7 points away from losing this entire match.
He's so serious, and Spec has a little bit more wiggle room than he does to have fun with things. And I feel like when competitors are having, you know, fun with each other is when they shine best. But I think Matt is proving me wrong a little bit here. Spec doesn't gonna take that for very long. Managing to retain
Spec
possession
going
here.
for... He's got Pearl Hammer now, and he's going for forehands and straight shots down the middle. But he's getting Matt off kilter. Did you see that? Matt made a mistake. He was going too fast, and then loses possession. So there is a method to that madness.
There's so much method to
Spec
everything
goes for
in air
still
hockey.
puck.
You know, when you play air hockey for the first time at an arcade or you know, like a grill or anything like that, you know, you don't really think about how much goes into it until you find somebody who actually, you know, takes the game seriously.
Whenever I tell somebody I play professionally, they go, "Oh, I could totally beat you." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, right.
And then they start watching the. Oh, I don't know if I could.
Managing to regain possession here.
They tell you when you're in professional air hockey, never look at the chat, because most people, when they watch a video later, they post, you know, I could beat that person. That person's terrible. I could easily beat them. They actually did a challenge for the second best player in the world, Jacob Wiseman. At the time, he was second best in the world, and they said whoever comes and beats him will get $1,000.
Oh, buddy.
And they said it to all the people who were challenging in the comments.
Touched Spec's hand, giving it back there. Almost so close to the actual goal.
But not a single person took him up on it. A free $1,000 if they won, and nobody took him up on it.
Oh,
So,
my goodness. Matt bringing everything to bear.
Right wall under, bringing it 4-0 right now. 5-0 with the left wall over.
Things are getting a lot more fun in here now. You know, despite a match that looks like it's absolutely dominating here, knowing that Matt is on the back foot here makes it just all the more exciting. Oh, an unfortunate goal from a very, very slow shot from Spec. Something that the Matt might actually, might unintentionally do, but even if it was unintentional, you know, it worked very well in Spec's favor there. Spec getting very tense with this defense. You can hear him exhaling and grunting over there like a tennis player.
Yep, like the tennis player that he should have been. Oh, goes for the left wall over, which has actually been working for him, but he misses 2 left wall overs in a row. Goes to the
methodical
right wall
setup.
under.
Watching Matt set up always makes me so tense. Being at the table with Matt is a completely different story than watching it on the screen.
He's injured a lot of players because he hits it very hard.
I get
and so
that.
it is very scary.
Yeah, when I first started learning air hockey, I was playing with Spec, and Spec split my pinky down the middle.
Oh. Matt, when he plays against my daughter, he'll be like, I hate playing against him because I blink whenever I play against him. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, whenever he hits it, it's so
he
hard
flinched, yeah.
that she flinches and it causes her eyes to close, and so he wins just by her closing her eyes. Matt only 2 points away from getting his first win in the set, and possibly on his next step to victory in this match. He sets it up, goes for the left. Oh, it bounces off of the back of Spec's mallet. There was some, I don't know if you saw a second ago, but there was some white pieces on the table. It turns out that mallet is so soft, there was some pieces being taken out of it.
Yeah,
some
as we
chunks.
saw between matches and before the match, that
Right.
mallet actually has a bunch of small impact marks from the puck all around it, just due to the softer material, which is why it works so well for a lot of these defensive plays. But
2-6. Yep.
looks like the puck is getting a little bit stuck. Matt letting it sink in.
Let that sink in. This could be it, though. This could be his first game win, or is he going to rush it, lose possession?
This game,
No, he takes his
going for a
time.
fake out.
Spec now, hoping to get this to 3-6.
Matt
Does an
never
off goal, gets it back, sets it up. Goes for another off goal.
big shot here.
No, goes for the cut that time. Missed. Lot of possession time. This is so important to air hockey. We're learning more and more about what possession time does. Yep, there it is. That's what possession time does. It makes the other player anxious and it starts getting them out of place. The longer you have it, the more anxious your opponent gets generally because they want it back. They want that shot, right? He wants to just close out this game, and Spec's not giving that to him. Spec goes for that left wall over. It's blocked.
Matt's getting a little bit overwhelmed here.
Matt gets back possession. Is this it?
This is his opportunity. Setting it up very slowly, as Matt is.
Goes for the jungle on accident. He shakes his head in disapproval of his own shot. Matt deflects it. Was that moving forward? Let's see. Was it a charge? They're gonna look over here. Was it a charge?
We're gonna take a look.
He did
here.
charge.
He
I
did
will-
charge it.
Yep.
All right, referee.
But Spec already has it, so Spec called it accurately. It's a good thing we
I
have
can feel
replays
myself
for
holding
moments
my
like that.
breath.
I can feel Birthday Brooke holding her breath too. Oh, Matt almost got it back. Spec sets it up. Goes for that still puck. He's playing a real
Matt's getting
methodical
real
and
twitchy.
Matt
wants
gets
to close out
possession.
this game so quick, but he's taking every opportunity of those 7 seconds that he can to do exactly what he needs to do to calm down. And we can hear Spec, the tension leave his chest every time that he hits the fence. Gets one of these shots.
Matt does not feel good about that. Getting possession back to Spec again. He knows that's going to be another minute or two before he probably gets it back. Either that or it's going to be in his goal. Spec sets it up.
Peeking through my fingers.
Goes for that cut. Oh! You know, it's funny. It shouldn't be this intense. It should be this intense if it was 6-6, but Spec has just been coming back.
Yeah,
from
when you have
0
somebody on the
points
back
to
foot
1
like this.
to 2 to 3. Now he's almost sitting at 4 points.
You know, it's a comeback game for both of them. You know, even though that
Right.
everything is on the line for Spec right here, he's still coming back against this
still
exceptional
in
lead
play.
that Matt decided to take.
Spec gains possession together. Then goes for the forehand. He nails it.
Are we gonna see a timeout here?
I think Matt's gonna leave it to 5. There it
taking
is.
the game. Closing that gap just a little bit closer. We can hear Spec's frustration.
Oh,
Man, some of these shots are just so exceptional to a newer player like myself. Sometimes it looks like the puck just goes straight through the mallet, but now we're seeing that Spec is going back to all reliable here. He's, I think he's had enough of the tension and experimentation playing on defense. He just wants to close this out. But an excellent display from both players here, and Matt bringing it back, closing the gap just a little bit more. Both of them having a set under their belt. Everything is on the line here.
it's now 3-1, and tensions rise. The plot thickens. We got Spec in here helping out with some of the tech stuff. We appreciate him so much. Spec, while you're just loitering, it was pointed out by me That lemon pepper is not a seasoning. It's not a spice. It's part of the. It's just lemon plus pepper. That's like saying you like salt and garlic salt. That's no. That's not a seasoning.
So we got to pick a third favorite spice. What do you got?
Cayenne pepper.
Cayenne.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say allspice or something. Oh no, allspice is what I'm thinking of.
Pumpkin spice.
Everything's. What does that call it? They call it everything seasoning, like what they put on like everything bagels.
Oh yeah, like or like all the seed seasonings that they put on the rice balls and stuff.
You know what's funny? I actually forget that allspice is an actual spice.
I know, right? It's like its own standalone thing.
But as a kid, and until 1 second ago, I was like, oh man, that's when they take all the spices and blend them up. That's the same as when you go into like a Taco Bell and you have that big cup and you have to get every soda in it, right? That's allspice. That's what they should call that.
All
Taco
right.
Bell.
We're not sponsored by Taco Bell, but that doesn't sound half bad after,
One day,
after this.
Taco Bell, Baja Blast, allspice.
A little bit, one day too late for Cinco de Mayo, but as we're going to get set up for this next match here, man, I am on the edge of my seat. I can feel everybody, not only in the chat, but the competitors and us here in the commentation booth, just all of us are tensing up, and after every goal, just that sigh of relief. Now, of course, Matt has 2 games still to catch up. Spec only needs to win once. Matt needs to win everything from here. And I'm sure that he can tell as his form kind of tenses up as we can watch at the table. But that being said, both of them are still finding opportunities to laugh about things in the middle of situations like this. But number 33, Matt.
You ready? Yeah, you ready? Game starts on my release.
Giving possession to Spec, but Spec gives it up. Once again, Matt takes the early possession, which is where he shines the most. Defensively against Spec is where he seems to struggle, but now that Spec is playing back with old reliable, Matt has to change his whole mentality here. Once again, not only exhausting for the person using 2 completely different mallets, but gotta be
left wall over.
Spec can start going for a lot of these faster power shots. If there's anybody that has the opportunity to close out a match, it's going to be Spec. And like I mentioned earlier, Spec only really needs to win 1 more game, and Matt needs to win every game from here.
So there's a lot of games inside of the game itself. One of those games is the face-off, right? That's a whole game in itself, and Matt's been dominating at that game. The other game is obviously playing air hockey, and then the last game is this mental game called the closeout game. And some players have the hardest time closing out. They really do. So a lot of players will be in the same spot that Spec is in and not be able to close it out. It was a while ago, Sam versus Scott. Scott only needed 2 more points and couldn't close it. In the next game, and he ended up losing the whole match, and he was only 2 points away from the start to win that game. So closing out is definitely a game in itself. We got Bridget in the chat saying that she's so nervous she's watching TikTok baby videos.
Yeah, Bridget, honestly, I wish I could join you there, but I have to keep my eyes on this match, and frankly, I don't think I could ever tear my eyes away. As Matt regains possession here.
He sets it up, goes for the left wall over. It was very well shot, just an inch off. Matt sets it up, goes for an off goal, gets it back. It's a smart way to get some more time on the clock, by the way.
Yeah, you were talking about how much possession actually matters in this game.
Really
Being able to retain all, 7 seconds.
Left wall over, but it was off speed. Do you see how he didn't hit it at full force?
Something that he's actually able to get away with now that Spec is back to playing with the Black Mallet. The Black Mallet does not have the same shock absorption properties to it, and even just this littlest hit against that thing can send it flying back over to
Right,
Matt's
just like
side.
right there. He should have been able to stop that shot, but it bounces back.
Oh.
So something that some players say is, oh, you want to hit a random shot slower, and they call it an off speed, but it's not technically like you're hitting it slow. They just say instead of hitting it at 100%, you're hitting it at maybe 95%, 98%.
One of those things that Spec was teaching me when I was learning air hockey for the first time, of course, is that the speed of the puck actually doesn't matter because the angle will always be the same. So when you're learning angles, you start shooting slower. So a lot of these competitors, they're able to get away with getting these slower shots, even if it's not much slower. In the moment, it's such enough of a difference that they know they can hit the angle, but they can play around the opponent's guard.
Right. When we're doing training drills to figure out angles, what we do is we hit it very, I mean like less than a mile an hour, right? We just barely hit it to see, okay, where is that gonna go? We would map out the table to see where the angles are at, right? It's not as easy as just saying hit it towards that one, you can see the screws on the side of the table. It's not as easy as saying, well, hit it towards that one screw, because it matters where the puck is at in the first place. But backing into this game here, it's at 2-1. Matt is up in this game here. He would need to win this game plus 2
beautiful
more.
right hand bank.
But he's on a good track right this second. Spec immediately loses possession. After this game, I suspect Spec is going to go back to the white mallet if he loses this, now that the white mallet seems to be the better mallet for him.
That being said, Spec is going for a lot of these shots in the dark, trying to close that gap between the two. Spec, knowing very well that he only has to win one more game, is giving himself a little bit more room to go for these crazy aggressive plays.
Fantastic play right there. Blocked and immediately hit back into a cross.
And that's one of the most stylish things about air hockey, these charges that you're able to do. Interrupting your opponent's offense with another piece of offense is just one of those things that really makes you just jump out of your chair a little bit.
It's the reason I like to charge. It's my biggest defect, if you will, is that I like to be right up at the
charge
line.
sickness like I do?
I do have it, but but it also gives me the best adrenaline rush, and
It
I
really
love
does.
it.
You know, when it works, nothing feels better.
I've said this before. If I'm up at the line and somebody scores on me, I don't really care. I don't mind losing that point. But if I'm back at my goal blocking, oh no! That's the problem of that mallet 100%, is that they just bounce right off of it. You see how that bounced clean off and into his own goal?
You know, I'm not disagreeing with you. If that Matt takes this game off of Spec, I would not be surprised to see Spec go back to the other one.
With how many close games they've had at those 6-6 points, that could have just been a game for him, and you know that. And so when you score on yourself,
for the first time in a while, we're actually seeing a bit of, I don't want to call it panic, but a bit of disruption in Spec's face, who often has such a calm and collected demeanor. We can tell that he's finding these moments of frustration where he recognizes that he should be doing something, but he's not. Matt's trickiness is really lending to it right now.
Ooh, beautiful charge. I love that.
I mean, you can hear it in our commentator booth, too. Every time something like that's happening, both of us... Well, mostly just me. Probably a lot more impressive to me than most people.
Switch of mallet.
Alright, puck is
He
back
called
in
a
play.
timeout while the puck was still in Matt's goal, which is legal, but it does use his one timeout. Ooh, he almost went over the line. Not only can he can't hit the puck when the puck's over the line, but he also can't have his mallet fully go over the line either.
Now, Spec recovering from his own shots is also scary when he takes these off shots, but he manages to close the gap. Everything is on the line here.
That
you can see.
cut! Spec is now only 2 points away from closing out this whole challenge match. Matt is 2 points away from pushing this into another game. Oh, and there it is. Now it is challenge. It's match point. Match point
Matt
to 5.
needs to make every goal from here to make this count.
I don't know if there's enough TikTok baby videos. Oh, it's now 6-6. It's game point, match point.
And that just goes to show you that chemistry in the table can really affect the crowd as well, as it almost feels like we're there at the
Spec
table
loses
instead of them.
possession. It is now. This could be it. Goes for the right wall over.
And
Goes for the
difficult
left
to
wall
regain
over.
possession.
All he needs to do is get this 1 point, and then he has another chance at this whole match. Goes
Jerry
for the right wall,
politely
loses
correct.
possession. Spec sets it up.
Are we going to see a timeout last second?
Oh, off goal. He loses possession, though, on an off goal that he made himself.
You know, that's one of the difficulties with this mallet, is making those off goals. You have to really know your angles for that one, because, you know, the lightest tap, if, you know, Matt deflects him even slightly, recovering with that black mallet is so difficult. However, it goes
Matt
back
loses
to Spec.
possession. This could be it. This could be the entire match right here.
Matt knows it.
Spec sets it up. Goes for the forehand. Oh no, Matt's been weak to that. He goes for the forehand again, I'm assuming. Here it comes. Nope, right.
Are we going to see a cross here?
I don't think my cardiologist is gonna like this very much. This is too much. It goes for the forehand. Oh, it's deflected, but he keeps possession. And there it is, a forehand for the final point, closing out this challenge match. Very close games. Oh,
Excellent
man.
display from both competitors. You know, it just goes to show that, you know, people like us that are in the commentators booth or in the crowd, how easy it is to put ourselves in the shoes of these competitors when there's so much tension between them. It almost feels like everything matters to us nearly as much as it does to the competitors. And really,
Right.
we just get to see the perfect culmination of this as Spec takes the match, retaining his position on not only the Idaho record, but the world. His world position as well. A very, very beautiful game for
They
both
call
of
it
them.
being a gatekeeper. Really, you know, being the gatekeeper of your rank is very important in
You know,
the
it's
sport.
like keeping a belt in wrestling, you know? or
Yeah, you don't want
boxing.
to let anyone past you. I really hate it when, you know, I have a rank. Let's just say I finish at 30. And then somebody challenges somebody that's at 29, for example, and they beat that person. Well, and then I get bumped to 31, even though I didn't even play, because someone else didn't do a good job of gatekeeping, right? They didn't keep their rank. For some of us that aren't near a lot of the other pro players, which are most of the players are in Texas, we don't get a chance to rank up very often. So really fantastic job gatekeeping from Spec on that one. We're now going to go take a second on the couch. We'd love for some last comments on there before we go over to the couch. Throw some questions on there, throw some comments, throw out some love, and we're gonna go ahead and ask the players how they're feeling about this one.
Yeah, let's see some congratulations towards Spec for retaining his position, but let's also let Matt know just how exceptional of a game that was. As you know, all of us were kept on the edges of our seats. There's no such thing as a real consolation prize here, but if there was, just the fact that we were holding our breath for that entire set should be one of them.
I know. I'm very blue in the face. I'm glad we don't have any commentator cams anymore because they would just watch me just like about to pass out every single time.
Yeah, the crowd would be able to see me peeking through my fingers like a child.
I'm trying to think of a name for when Spec does that, like 2 hands up, like he doesn't do the Tiger Woods 1 fist like shake.
Well, when we in the fighting game community, we call that popping off. When somebody is in the chair and they win a set and they jump out of their chair and they throw their hands up, that is called popping off in the fighting game community. Of course, popping off is a little bit more explosive than that. Spec himself is not necessarily the most explosive person, but that being said, we can still feel the energy behind both of those hands being thrown up in the air for victory.
Oh man, look at how close. I mean, it's crazy how close this was to the first set, where Spec only won 1 game, and the last set Matt only won 1 game, and then the second set Matt didn't win any. You can see a clear victor in this one. However, the games were extremely close. Look how many 6-7 games there were. There were so many on there. All right, let's go out there and go to the couch.
Bro, I felt like I was at the table.
There's the point spread, game spread, set spread.
Man, I hate this because Matt, you were the one I was rooting for, right? The underdog. Spec knows that. He's not gonna be mad at me for rooting for you. And you had him that first set, and you forced him to take it to 100, right? Oh man, so the chat's blowing up here. We've got Jerry, always disagreeing with me. She said that lemon pepper is considered a seasoning.
Well, we have the expert.
What plant does that grow on? That's
Lemon tree.
Lemon zest and pepper.
Okay, so there's 2. Oh, so it's not a seasoning. It's not a spice. We said spice, a seasoning.
What do you think spices are?
Yeah. Jerry, I say nay to you. We had.
She only does it for a living. I don't know.
She
so
does.
I don't know, Nathan.
I feel like she wakes up and she's like, "What can I disagree with him today?"
Now, speaking
Check.
of disagreeing, Jerry, why don't you contradict Spec and tell us what your 3 favorite seasonings are?
Yeah. Yes. No, I'm kidding.
Establish superiority.
We've got Bridget in chat. When you guys took your 6-6 break, when both of you took a break on that, I mean, it's almost becoming a thing. Where it's almost like the 6-inning stretch. It's going to happen now, where it's just like 6-6. All right, let's take a tea break here. The fans were noticing that you guys were having a lot of fun. It was very serious. You guys were very involved, but at the same time, that there's like a table chemistry of sorts. So, Spec, how do you feel about beating your teammate? What did your
Just like every other games I play with them.
You're just gonna take that?
Recently, yeah. I mean, it's
All the challenge matches I've gone against them, I've always won.
recently.
That
As
being
you said.
said, though, Matt, spectacular show.
Matt did play very good.
In the spectators booth, you couldn't hear us, but every time that possession would go over to Matt, we're just holding that breath the entire time. We're just sitting there tense, almost blue in the face.
The amount of right wall overs you did, you really missed out the week before when that was a shot of the week. That
being said, though, those lefts near the end there really took a lot of points.
Yeah,
I didn't adjust to the left walls. He started doing left walls, and I don't know why he doesn't do left walls a lot.
I agree. His left wall overs were nailing you.
I didn't adjust fast enough. I was catching on to that, and then I was like...
Now, when you're behind by that degree, do you feel like it affects your performance just knowing that you're behind, or do you try to maintain the same flow that you've been keeping consistent the entire match? Do you change your play style when it comes to
I try to maintain, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
It don't really change up a whole lot from, how you've been kind of thinking about the game the entire time. You don't think you get
I
affected
mean,
by
it's
that
in the back of
much?
my head. I'm like, okay, you need to really focus on your defense
Right.
here because you're down. Just stick to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the adjustment plan here. Okay, he's using the white mallet here,
Mm-hmm.
so no straight shots. And that's
But
the
that is a very good
176
point
that I
of adjustment,
lost
though, because-
as I chose to do a straight shot, and he captured it with his white mallet.
Now, that being said, you had to play with this sort of ebb and flow of Spec having the two different mounts and two kind of different play styles and things like that, and it definitely goes to show that your level of adjustment is spectacular. A lot of the straight shots being eaten up by the shock absorption of that mallet is
If I had
terrifying.
a better precision, then it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
If I had that cross that I was trying to get over on them when I was kind of drifting over to the left side, and instead of going more centrally into his mallet, even if it was, right of center, it's still into his mallet, and it's fairly easy for him to capture with his white mallet because it just absorbs everything because of the mass.
And you know how they track words and how they're used over like the centuries, right? And like the amount of times that word is used. I feel like mallet has gone to like 0 until the last few years, and now it's just like we've said it on this stream. I want to say it like 800 times. We should have a little bell that dings every time we say the word mallet.
We should get paid.
Little
every time we
counter in
say
the corner.
mallet.
Yeah.
At the start, when you were saying mallet, you'd say it's or his mallet, and I thought you were saying smell at the start. I'm like, his smell. I'm like, what is he talking about? But we were saying it so much. Yeah, the mallet. And it's funny because people watching this are gonna be like, why does it really matter? Mallet makes a huge difference. It's like choosing a golf club.
Yeah, there's only two real things on the table that is controlled by the player, and that is the mallet, which you have the most control over, and then the puck, which is a sort of kind of like companion piece.
It's
to
a
the
mutually
mallet.
agreed.
However,
thing,
I
so.
will have to say, if I was a better player, I can emulate that with the way I'm holding my mallet.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something. One of the reasons that watching YouTube is one of my favorite matchups. Anytime that I see it in an arcade or whenever it's on a stream or something like that. It's just like the level of intensity that builds up kind of between you two. I'm going to draw kind of a parallel to sumo wrestling here because it's one of the other sports that I watch. When your two competitors are kind of staring each other down at the table. I know you're chugging, it's whatever. But it's just it's palpable, It's but at the same time though, just the diffusion that comes from both of you kind of still having a good time despite it all. It's something that you don't really get to see a lot.
Hey, Anthony, can you go see if my mawashi is in my bag?
Your
Nothing.
Findoshi?
Huh?
Your
Well, we're
Findoshi?
gonna end this off. I'm not seeing any more questions immediately coming through. People are saying that chemistry is your favorite subject. People are talking.
Are you
about
kidding
that,
me?
but- Yeah, they're saying it was a close game. They're saying spices are such a secret. Apparently,
Secret
They're
spices.
saying that even right now, Spec is doing chair yoga again. Is what they're
What?
saying. I think that they're spinning the mallet and balancing it.
yoga?
It's his chair,
Chair
yoga.
yoga?
Maybe that's a secret. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end off the stream. We'd like to thank our sponsor again, Ruth Kamichek. We want to thank all of you guys for coming out today to watch this game. Really thanking all of you for supporting us. It's been an amazing adventure, and we just love to see the growth that's happening. So thank you for sharing this. Thank you for subscribing. And congrats to Spec for holding the line. An amazing job, Matt. You did an amazing job with your play. I'm glad I wasn't playing against you with the types of shots that you were being able to pull
Is
off.
it
So.
me and you next week? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I heard that it was going to be Scott and Anthony. Also, I heard that there was a Josiah challenge for Scott. And so is it you challenging me for next week as well?
Well, I have to, go up the ladder,
And just keep going? Okay, we'll see. You aren't ranked yet. Are you going to challenge anybody on the list?
Oh man, I'm still in the learning process, but after that, I'm pretty glad that I'm learning from Spec and Matt, the two people that I get to see most often at the arcade. Because
see,
if I get to play anything like them,
I thought you were about to be like, after seeing that, I could probably beat Matt. I'm going to go with Matt next week. I thought that's what you were about to say. I was like, oh,
no, unfortunately, I don't have that level of
wasted
confidence.
the opportunity.
No way. No, Matt plays so nice when we play against each other. He's such a sweet guy. But yeah, there's just no way. But that being said, though, I would love to get in the ring sometime eventually after developing my skills a little bit more. But watching it is equally as fun as playing it at this point. So
Agreed. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us live. And if you have any other questions, post them in the chat. All right, have a great day and good
Don't
night.
forget, you guys can find us at